amazing. Oh, it's clash heads again. This is like Chaz Mostert and Cam Waters.
It's motorsport, but not as you know it. Test yourself and your everyday road car. Safe, affordable, but most of all, fun. And all you need is your daily driver. Experience the thrill of a sprint day. Race against the clock at a hill climb. Or test your reflexes with an auto test. It takes just 3 simple steps to get started. Get on the start line. Search Motorsport Australia Daily Driver today.
Fishies in a row. They're here to make a point and to do Eddie proud. They fan out in the background as they come down to turn 1 for the first time. It all looks pretty good, 2 by 2. We'll stop the camera here. Oh, Eddie would be proud, mate. That was awesome run around turn 1. But, oi! Contact with the fishies!
He's made it through. It doesn't look like Angus has made it, but Thomas Freeman's made it through, and Angus is going to suffer the crowd coming through there to be able to turn his car around. Woo.
I love riding. It's a real social thing. There's a great bond between riders.
Every weekend, I look forward to getting out there. It's a freedom like no other.
Riding to work is a great way to start the day.
Shannons insure all types of road bikes, not just classics. They offer features riders really want. It's why they're one of Australia's leading motorcycle insurance providers.
Whatever you ride, whatever you ride,
Whatever you ride.
ride with Shannons.
Call 134646 for a quote.
And they are off. It was a good start from Dylan De Bono. I think Phil Vella got a great start there in the background as well. You can see already cars going 5, 6 wide as they're trying to find any semblance of space. They come into T1. So far we've got 2, 3 wide as they snake down. It's Michael Culture that's got around Dylan De Bono. A couple of cars going wide there. Was that a bit of contact in the back? Scott Pocock caught up in that, I think, there, buddy. But it's Michael Cullajar's got past, so Dylan.
Light is coming out and we're about to get going, and we have a green light and a very slow start for the 86s, but they are moving out there on the grid. It would be very interesting to see exactly which driver can capitalise on this first lap. Just go through the grid. Look like Jamie Christensen had a really awesome start to get ahead of Dylan De Bono, and Doug Gowage also jumped his teammate as well, so unfortunately Dylan stalled the car a little bit more than what he preferred. But
Weekend in, weekend out, Motorsport Australia officials are making waves. From waving flags, waving cars through pit lane, or responding to a wave for help. Wave hello to new lifelong friends. Who knows, you might just make waves around the world. Ride the first wave. Search Motorsport Australia officials today.
Still great classes of car, and if you are able to, if you're coming up the ranks on iRacing through the licenses, it's a fantastic sort of laneway into prototype driving, going from that GT3 up through the prototype classes. As the safety car pulls in, we get ready to go green as we come up towards the line. Edwards, Hasler, who's going to get the jump down to turn 1, or will any of the fishies, any of the piranhas in behind them, assault them down towards this first lap? Let's go here.
We've always had a few cars. They're all special. The T-Bird.
Oh, that's mine.
The Combi for when we want to get away. The XR8.
It's going to be a classic.
They're all insured with Shannons.
We've also got Shannon's home and contents cover,
which helps protect our automotive collectibles, tools and memorabilia in the home and garage. If you're motoring enthusiasts like us, it's got to be
Shannon's.
Shannon's, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 134646 for a quote.
This is amazing. Oh, it's clash heads again. This is like Chaz Mostert and Cam Waters. Almost the same situation. Better contact going down the hill. Sam Noble wants to snip on Dave Coleman now. Sam Noble bottle right now because tell you what, Bruce Tanak and Jamie Dyson just absolutely drove away from us. Hayden trying to go around the outside. This is where he could have just sent it up the inside, but he hasn't committed, which is fair enough. It's very scary out there, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's see if we get a good run. Dodds just absolute thinker, but it is a really nice move. Blake Delaney had to move out of the way.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, wherever it is you are watching from, and welcome back to Sim Racing World TV. Welcome back to the Warren & Brown Tools V8 Supercars Super Sunday Series here for Red Bull Ring, round number 2 of Season 2 of 2024. I'm your commentator here tonight, Hamish Munro, joined for the first time in a little while by Jack Anderson, of course, Jack covering for Mr. Sinkovic, who was at MotorX today. Jack, great to have you here, buddy. It's going to be a great race today, mate, and you know, we've had a bit of history in supercars together. We've been racing them for just about 8 years together now, so it's going to be great to call the action around such an iconic track of Europe once again.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Excited to see the race. Obviously, I would be competing, but glad to be in the booth with you once again. It's been a while.
Well, I mean, it's going to be good practice for you for your next outing of commentating that'll be coming later in this season, but I'm sure we're going to get heaps of love for the likes of Harry Dodds in chat after the amount of love he got on Friday night for him. So, of course, racing tonight, so I'm sure his footy mates are out there once again. But, it's a big series, the pros and pro-ams. It's a tough field. Obviously, you've raced in this field. How tough is it to get up to grips with a track, but also get up to pace with those guys up towards the front, or even guys up towards the front of your own class as well in that pro-am field?
Yeah, it's extremely difficult to get up to the front. Obviously, I haven't cracked the secret yet. But yeah, it's a very competitive field out there. They're going to be a good one to watch. Some of the best in Australia out there at the moment. So, yeah, well, should be good.
We already saw the dominance that's been displayed by some of the front runners in this series last week out at Sonoma, namely Blake Warboys, who won by quite a fair margin last time out on track for these pros and pro-ams. Tonight, though, endurance action. Qualifying is going to be absolutely key to get into that top 10 shootout, and then also just to maximise where you can start this hour and 20-minute race going forward around Red Bull. It's a tough track, of course. You know, plenty of passing opportunities. It's deceivingly tough, though, Jack. It looks super simple, but there are sections of this circuit that can really challenge drivers and actually catch them out quite easily, namely turn 1 and turn 3.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those ones where the corners kind of come back on themselves, or they get tighter than they look, so it does make it a lot more difficult than it looks.
Of course, as well, the fast run down towards turn 4. As you come into that braking zone, I spoke about it on Tuesday with Sinko, that as you come over the changeover from up to downhill, that's then when you get into the braking zone, and you can find yourself out-braking yourself quite easily, especially when you're going for an overtake, because your car still wants to speed up on that downhill. We can see a couple of cars going through there now. How do you best try and prepare the car for certain setups? Are you trying to maximise your brake pressure on your setup, or maybe just trying to maximise how your car can turn through a corner as well?
Well, personally, I like a car that I can get the power down and nicely out of the exit of the corner rather than the entry. So I don't mind it if it's a bit lively in the rear on turn-in, if it makes it easier on the way out, because that's just my personal preference. But we have seen a lot of people go down into the corners. You mentioned, say, Lewis Hamilton, who's 7-time world champ, and he's gone and made a couple of incidents down in that exact same corner.
Everyone has made a mistake through that section of track at some point in their time. But I mean, mentioning wanting a bit of a loose rear on your car, but having that, being able to get that power down as quickly as possible, it's going to maximize those exits, of course, which is what we always talk about. It's super imperative at a lot of tracks, and I think this circuit especially, being such a small track, it's a little bit difficult to pass. Maximizing exits is really going to help you in that battle and that war across the race with the competitors around you as well.
100%. Especially out of The last corner and going through 1-2, going up that super long straight, you got to get the best exit that you possibly can to get the edge over your competitors.
You've also got to be super careful of those dangerous bunning snag curbs as well on the outside of turn 1. We've seen it catch out a couple of drivers across multiple leagues whenever they've come racing here, and it's always a danger. But one thing we didn't really see last time, or we didn't see it all last time we were here on Tuesday, was a safety car. Do you think with the faster field tonight, as we can see, Robert Crow just absolutely straight line that corner since we're getting to the end of practice, do you think we're going to see a few more safety cars, maybe 1 or 2 out here tonight with the faster field? They'll be a little bit more hungry to go for moves and maybe push the limits a little bit more as well?
Quite possibly. You might see a lot of the blokes get a bit more hungry, especially as the race goes on, to try and get the upper hand on the other blokes.
Well, luckily for us, we don't have to be careful about what we say in terms of who's in the field, because of course Stephanie Piccoli, my fellow commentator, isn't in the Pro and Pro-Am field, but she is on the Tuesday field. But it is all blokes out there, of course. Jason Strange is the first to lead out for Vermilion Motorsports. New pickup for Vermilion, of course, is Jason, formerly at Old Mate and Sons. But I mean, when we look at this driver list, is there anyone we can look past for this, or is there anyone do you think we could see challenging Blake Warboys tonight, possibly a Griffin Gardner, or even a Jamie Dyke who's back up to pace as well?
100%. Those two names are like well known within the Australian sim racing community, have been some of the top guys in the country. So I reckon those blokes, some of names like Ty Delaney, I think he can, on his night, he can pull one out of the bag, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top.
Geordie in the chat asking how long until the race starts. So Geordie, we've got 15 minutes of qualifying, then we're going to be getting into the top 10 shootout, which can run from anywhere between 20 and 40 minutes, depending on how quickly race control get through all the drivers and how fast they do their laps. So I'd say race is going to start probably around about maybe 8:30 at the latest. I think race should start possibly a little bit earlier. Definitely will not start. It'll definitely start before 9 o'clock though, so it's not going to be too long away. But qualifying is to come, and a lot of drivers are out there already setting their times, getting into their first sectors as Jason Strange leads them around. As mentioned, Troy Dooley, Anthony Visma, and David Coleman as well. Only 2 drivers yet to join the circuit, those being Scotty Van Loon, the Rattler, and Matty Parker, a couple of veterans in the field. Everyone else, though, is out there trying to set a time right now.
Yeah, it is good to see a couple of the vets blokes that I've noticed in the last couple of weeks start to make their way over to SRW. It's good to see.
Yeah, it's good now that we're running tracks that they will be running throughout their season, of course, running official races, not directly in line with officials, but it is at least giving them some practice. Some weeks they would have raced a track before they raced it. They would have raced a track in vets before they raced in SRW. For example, Red Bull Ring, we raced it not this past week, but the week before, and now this week we're here for SRW. So it's going to give them a good opportunity to get more seat time at circuits. They may not get a chance to race all that often, as our old mate David Coleman does a big old drift there through the exit of turn 8 in towards turn 9. So no questions though about where his flask is to sinker on the side of his car this week, unfortunately.
You must just try to be getting that little bit of extra tyre temp in there, you know. Knows as you're on stream, give it a little extra flick.
Maybe the crew put a couple of scrub tyres on there as a joke, and he's had to come in to get some greens to go running as well. But first times are coming in. Jamie Dyke has topped the timing sheets with a very respectable 129.93. We could definitely get into the 28s tonight, as Griffin Gardner across the line with a 29 dead. So I think that's almost guaranteed we're going to see some 28s when the fast boys are getting pace like that out of the car. Max Wait, what car is Dodsey in? So old mate Dodsey is in a Commodore. He's driving that Opel Power, of course. The Opel, I think it's a Vectra, isn't it, Jackals, that this car was based on?
You made me... I've gone blank. I can't remember now, which is kind of a shame.
It was...
I think it was an Insignia or something.
Insignia,
maybe.
That's right. Yeah, Opel Insignia. I'm pretty sure. is what the old ZB is based upon. It's the last of the Commodores, obviously. Is it even really a Holden? That's the debate that's always been asked. Do you think of this car as an actual Holden, or do you think of it as an Opel, as a man who loves an Opel Astra?
It's a hard one, really. Like, I would like to think the VF was the last true Commodore, but I do actually like the ZB, as controversial as that is.
Yeah, it's not a poor-looking car.
Well, it's sideways on the way into the corner there, pushing hard to try and get that lap time.
Maybe he needs a bit of a red car if he's going to wiggle that much through corners. I'm testing him here tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
Pleasure commentating with you, Hamish.
I was going to pull that out on you. Oh, no. Oh, well, but times are coming in quick and fast. Blake Warboys has actually got a challenger here tonight, though. Griffin Gardner has set that 129 dead. Warboys yet to get past the 29.6s at this stage in time for the pro field. Jamie Dyke, well, I mean, they're the three drivers we talked about, and they're in the top three already, with Gardner leading the boys away at the moment. Remember, shootout action here tonight. Top 10 guys move into the next session for the shootout. They then get an opportunity to better or hold on to their status inside that top 10. We saw a bit of a shake-up Tuesday night in that shootout. Maybe we'll see it again here tonight with some drivers under pressure in shootout conditions. Have you had a chance, Jack, to ever actually compete in a shootout in qualifying before in terms of iRacing?
I don't believe I have, no. No, I've never really made it into stops whenever they've done one. So no, I can't personally say that I know what the pressure is like in iRacing to do it. Obviously, we used to do it back in Forza days, but that's nothing compared to this.
Well, I suppose it's a little bit like one-shot qualifying, where you have your 2 laps to do it, like in officials, but you only get one chance to cut the lap. So it's kind of combines the pressure of both laps into one, where you may go for a banker in your first lap and then go for a push on the second, where in shootout format, you kind of have to get a banker in, but it needs to be a bit of a pushing banker to just find some pace out of the car to hopefully, you know, go better than everyone else. But if you can find a clean time, that can also pay you dividends too, with drivers possibly getting curb strikes around here, especially between turn 9 and turn 10.
Yeah, and especially you'll start to find the cars that have teammates will inevitably try to draft each other to give themselves that little extra bit of time to get into the shootout.
See if they are willing to work together here tonight. On board with Blake Warboys. He's gone best in the first sector here on this lap, and he's gone personally better in the second with a 21.25 through sector 138.84 in sector 2. So this could be quite a nice little lap here from Mr. Warboys if he can hold it all together through the final sector. Of course, wants to be careful of that curb strike. Doesn't want to run it too far to the left on exit of turn 9 and turn 10. It does, and he's getting the maximum, isn't it? And that's the limits that they've got to push to find the maximum amount of time out of their car. He goes 29.1. He will remain P2 on the road, but at the moment he is looking at himself inside the top 10 shootout. And relatively speaking, it doesn't particularly matter if he's not in pole position here in the regular qualifying. It's the shootout that matters for him, and he just wants to be able to keep it inside the top 10.
Yeah, exactly right.
See Dykey, a couple of the Fishy boys actually doing a bit of drafting together, with Dykey leading a little battle pack of Ty Delaney and Troy Maguire as well, as he just pulls it up, and so does Mr. Kirby. So all the Fishy boys already trying to work together to get inside the top 10 at this stage in qualifying, as Brad Doble is just trying to survive at the moment. P5 on the road in qualifying. He is 600ths faster than Jason Strange of Vermilion Motorsport out of P6. Currently all pros inside the top 10. No Pro-Ams there just yet, as Alan Dawson is currently the top-seeded Pro-Am in P12 on the road at the moment. Out of the Pro-Ams, Jack, of course, we have Dawson, Dooley, Daly, Crow, Cowan, Randall, and then Matty Parker, who hasn't set a time just yet. Who can you see out of that group possibly making a bit of a rise tonight for an opportunity to win in that class, and possibly even getting inside the top 10 if they can?
Oh, you can't put your You can't put it past Daly, or Shane is always a good shout as well, especially around here from previous rounds in vets that I've seen. He's had a lot of pace. It's just sometimes he makes a mistake or gets the unfortunate end of the incident.
Well,
So-
it's funny you mentioned that. Last time he raced here, he had an absolute shocker. He ended up with a race ban off the back of his last performance at Red Bull Ring, so hopefully he can go a little bit better here tonight and keep it a little bit cleaner on track as well.
Well, yeah, take back my previous statement then, you know?
I'll retract my previous statement.
Yeah, exactly.
Andrew Cowan, he's trying to find some pace in the car. Former amateur champion in SRW. He came P2 last year in the championship, behind, I should say, his teammate Gerard Sanfuentes, who's now in the pros and in the top 10 at the moment in P7 on the road as he comes back out on track now. So, I mean, if it wasn't for Gerard, who was driving out of his skin last season, Cowie would likely be a pro right now and probably would have actually won that Pro-Am championship last season. But, of course, his teammate, well, he was just too good for him in the end. And, well, it took the consistency that we always talk about that got him inside a favourable position in championship order. And he now finds himself with that blue tag next to his name instead of the black one.
Yeah, you always got to love seeing teammates push each other, though. It pushes them to new levels.
I mean, it's something that a lot of drivers strive for. Is if they're going to join a team, they want teammates that can push them because they're trying to go to that next level, and they're trying to, do better in their own style, and also learning some tips and tricks from other drivers can also help them get better too. So that's sometimes it looks like a curse in a team when you've got drivers pushing each other, but it is also a benefit because everyone's going to find some pace. As long as they have respect for each other, everyone's going to win in the end.
Yeah, and you start to work together and find things that work between the teammates. Like, I know in my experience, we share setups and try and tweak them together to make gains as a whole, rather than just personal gains like some teams do. But yeah, it's all good until it's not.
No, that's right. As we now have also Bruce Tannock joining the session as well, so hopefully he can get out on track and cut a time in the session as well. But at the moment, with only a couple of minutes to go, it is currently Griffin Gardner on provisional pole position for the top 10 shootout. It's Blake Warboys in P2, Troy Maguire P3, Jamie Dyke, Ty Delaney make up the 5, Jason Strange P6, David Kirby in P7, Brad Doble in P8, Gerard Sanfuentes in P9, and then Troy Stonestreet making up the top 10 and our runners for the shootout. But there is still 2.5 minutes to go. Of course, they can finish their time as long as they start it before the end of the 15 minutes. Once that clock kind of rolls over, as Harry Dodds, as we can hear a cheer from the chat, he gets it inside the top 10, and he looks like he could be taking part in this shootout as long as he can maintain that position. But a lot of drivers heading out on track now to try and challenge for that, as well as all of a sudden Gerard Sanfuentes is in the danger zone and Troy Stonestreet has been knocked out of top 10 shootout action.
Yeah, and as the session would go on, the track evolution would obviously make the track a lot more rubbered in and help with the making the times fall. So everyone would want to get out there.
Getting all technical with us now. It's an absolute wizardry from you there.
That's probably the best you'll get.
Well, it's that's one thing I've actually overlooked that quite a fair bit, is track evolution and how the surface evolves throughout a session. The more green it gets, or the more rubbered in. Sorry, the more green it starts, the more rubbered in it gets throughout its proceedings, especially across that racing line. And I suppose when we talk about it in terms of cars that can go racing in the rain, for example, the more green the track is, the better it probably is for rain, because it means that racing line, that regular racing line, is not going to have all that rubber on the track, and it's not going to be as slippery, where if it's a more rubbered in circuit and all of a sudden you get rain, it's going to change up how you actually drive the circuit completely, comparatively to that wet green circuit, as I just mentioned.
Yeah, it becomes a lot more treacherous out there. So you have to do a bit more of the dancing on your feet with the pedals, and be a lot more precise with your inputs when it gets wet. Obviously, it's not the send it type of style that we like to see a couple of the boys do.
So are we talking a bit of ballet or a bit of tap dancing there in the footwell of the majority of these supercars?
Oh, it's got to be a bit of salsa.
Oh, a bit of spice in the pedal box of a Holden Commodore, of a Ford Mustang as well. Griffin Gardner, I think it's pretty locked in that he's going to be taking part in this shootout. Blake Warboys reckons he's pretty safe with a 29-1, and with only a couple of seconds left in this initial qualifying session, it's looking more and more likely that Gardner is going to be well and truly safe, as he's just gone fastest in the first sector as well. Ty Delaney, he's on a personal best in behind, but he is getting that lovely toe off the 9.5 Sim Sports car. Currently in P1 in this session, but this is what we want. We want some competitive driving, some competitive action here leading into the shootout, and hopefully it's going to be as competitive as it was on Tuesday night, with everyone kind of swapping and changing and shuffling positions in the order inside that top 10. Currently in the cutoff position, it is David Kirby for Fishy Motorsports. Just above him is Jason Strange, but you can see the Fishy boys want to get him out of the danger zone. They want to get him inside the top 10. Same for Mr. Coleman as well at the back of this little Fishy train. This is what we were talking about before, of course, Jackos, that teams working together. And we know Fishy love to work together quite a fair bit too, obviously. And they're trying to work now to get Coleman and Kirby well inside that 10, as Kirby's now been knocked out. Coleman's inside the 10. Dodsey is now in the danger zone, as Kirby's also been locked into. End of the session. Who's going to be able to finish their times? Here's Stone Street. Here's Sam Fuentes as well. Tannick's out there as well as Randall, although Tannick's now pulled out. He'll be starting from the back of the field, as Randall's going to cross the line. Can he go any better, and can he find himself further up the order? Doesn't look like it's going to happen for him here tonight, as Stone Street and Sam Fuentes look to finish off their times in the session and maybe knock out Harry Dodds outside the top 10, or possibly David Coleman in P9 as well. Stone Street comes around, crosses the line. What's the time going to look like here for the WKMP car? Doesn't look like it's good enough to raise up the ranks, and Sam Fuentes is pulled out. So luckily for Coleman, he's made it inside the 10, and well, for Dodsey, he gets to have a crack at the shootout as well, Jackos.
Yeah, he's made it in by a scale there.
Oh, I mean, 0.03 of a second. That you could not have described that any better. It literally is a scale, like it is nothing. And there's nothing that really separates the drivers inside that 10. They're all separated by less than a second from P1 back to P10, as we get ready to move over to our shootout server. So that means, Jackos, we get to move over into a different server now just for the shootout. So maximum effort here tonight for us. As the drivers who didn't make the 10, they'll get an opportunity to have a crack at a little practice race prior to their race here tonight, but we'll move over to our shootout server right now. What we might do is, while we wait for it to go up, we'll quickly run the ad roll, and then we will come back once everything's been sorted. Don't go anywhere, we'll be back soon.
This is amazing. I was clash heads again. This is like Chad Mostert and Cam Water.
It's motorsport, but not as you know it. Test yourself and your everyday road car. Safe, affordable, but most of all, fun. And all you need is your daily driver. Experience the thrill of a sprint day. Race against the clock at a hill climb. Or test your reflexes with an auto test. It takes just 3 simple steps to get started. Get on the start line. Search Motorsport Australia Daily Driver today.
Fishies in a row. They're here to make a point and to do Eddie proud. They fan out in the background as they come down to turn 1 for the first time. It all looks pretty good, 2 by 2. We'll stop the camera here. Oh, Eddie would be proud, mate. That was awesome run around turn 1. But, oi! Contact with the Fishies.
He's made it through. It doesn't look like Angus has made it, but Thomas Freeman's made it through, and Angus is going to suffer the crowd coming through there to be able to turn his car around.
I love riding. It's a real social thing. There's a great bond between riders.
Every weekend, I look forward to getting out there. It's a freedom like no other.
Riding to work is a great way to start the day.
Shannons insure all types of road bikes, not just classics. They offer features riders really want. It's why they're one of Australia's leading motorcycle insurance providers.
Whatever you ride, whatever you ride,
Whatever you ride.
ride with Shannons.
Call 134646 for a quote.
And they are off. It was a good start from Dylan de Bono. I think Phil Vella got a great start there in the background as well. You can see already cars going 5, 6 wide as they're trying to find any semblance of space. They come into T1. So far we've got 2, 3 wide as they snake down. It's Michael Conchar that's got around Dylan de Bono. A couple of cars going wide there. Was that a bit of contact in the back? Scott Pocock caught up in that, I think, there, buddy. But it's Michael Cullajar's got past, so Dylan...
Light is coming out and we're about to get going, and we have a green light and a very slow start for the 86s, but they are moving out there on the grid. It would be very interesting to see exactly which driver can capitalise on this first lap. Just go through the grid. Look like Jamie Christensen had a really awesome start to get ahead of Dylan de Bono, and Doug Gowage also jumped his teammate as well, so unfortunately Dylan stalled the car a little bit more than what he preferred. But
Weekend in, weekend out, Motorsport Australia officials are making waves. From waving flags, waving cars through pit lane, or responding to a wave for help. Wave hello to new lifelong friends. Who knows, you might just make waves around the world. Ride the first wave. Search Motorsport Australia officials today.
Still great classes of car, and if you are able to, if you're coming up the ranks on iRacing through the licenses, it's a fantastic sort of laneway into prototype driving, going from that GT3 up through the prototype classes. As the safety car pulls in, we get ready to go green as we come up towards the line. Edwards, Hasler, who's going to get the jump down to turn 1, or will any of the fishies, any of the piranhas in behind them, assault them down towards
green and they're
this
off.
first lap? Let's go here.
We've always had a few cars. They're all special. The T-Bird.
Oh, that's mine.
The Combi for when we want to get away. The XR8.
It's going to be a classic.
They're all insured with Shannons,
We've also got Shannon's home and contents cover,
which helps protect our automotive collectibles, tools and memorabilia in the home and garage. If you're motoring enthusiasts like us, it's got to be
Shannon's.
Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 134646 for a quote.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, great to be back after a little waiting period there, waiting for our session to open up for the top 10 shootout. It has now opened. We are now in here. So we'll wait for the first driver to head in on track, which will be Mr. Harry Dodds. We know there'll be a lot of love for him in the chat, and I hope you get a lot of cheers for him as well once he heads out there. Myself, Hamish Munro, Jack Anderson, back again here in the shootout. Of course, I mean, if you're Doddsy, Jack, of course, you haven't had an opportunity to get into the shootout yet. What do you reckon might be going through his mind right now, heading out on track for the first time in towards this shootout?
If I was in his shoes, I'd probably be thinking, all right, I've just got to hit my marks, got to get the braking zones right, and then I'll be set. Make sure I don't go over the forbidden glizzies and stuff up the entry onto the straight. Yeah, that's just that sort of stuff. Like, play mind games with yourself, get yourself prepared.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be. You definitely don't want to end up like a dropped Bunnings snag in the middle of the carpentry aisle on a Saturday Arvo. You want to end up like a perfectly cooked, perfectly layered Bunnings snag, getting ready to go inside your belly at the end of the day as well.
Speaking of Bunnings snags, what is your preference? Onions on top or onions below?
I don't really care.
Oh.
Personally, it's easier to put onions on top because you just put the snag in, then you put the onion in. I really couldn't care. As long as it has onions on it, then I'm happy. Sauce choice, it's got to be a bit of mustard, bit of tomato sauce or ketchup, whatever they got on offer for that one. Or even sometimes they get the old barbecue mustard combo as well. I think that's a pretty good one too. As they're going to finish up this session and get the cars out on track. Coleman sideways or crossways on the bread. Oh, it's diagonally for sure. What do you reckon, Jack? Diagonally across the bread?
Oh, it has to be, surely. Yeah. If someone goes directly down the middle, what would you call it? Just vertically or horizontally? You got something wrong with you.
Yeah, I mean, no, and you know what? If you prefer a bunning snag on a hot dog bun, there's something wrong with you as well. It's got to be on like the cheapest of just white bread. No. Down the middle, even wrap around this. I mean, you can wrap diagonally around the sausage as well. Doesn't I actually think you get more bread to be able to wrap around it when you go diagonally, don't you? If we think about that logistically.
It just spreads it more evenly, I believe. But enough of bunning snags talk, I guess, as Harry Dodds goes to his preparation, warming up those brakes and those tyres.
Yep, he will be getting himself mentally, physically prepared as well, getting the car prepared for this crack at a lap now as well. Yeah, Coleman as well, enough sausage talk. We can get back to the snag talk later on. As a man who loves kicking snags, Harry Dodds, for Queenscliff, is out on track now in his Frog League Juice Racing Commodore. Nice little segue there, if I do say so myself, as he gets himself prepped for this lap. I mean, qualifying conditions, it is one of the most precious situations you can be in, not only in supercars, but in racing as well. I'd almost hearken this to the pressure you feel when you're qualifying for a special event, Jackos, a good endurance event. You'd be feeling similar levels of pressure inside the car right now, knowing that this is going to be make or break for him to get all of his sectors right, every piece right, and just keep it on the black stuff as best he can as well.
100%, if not more pressure on yourself. Because as a special event, you've got more time to make up the places if you qualify further down. Whereas these races, while they are a decent distance, it's a lot more pressure to get the job done.
There's less time for them to come back from a poor qualifying in this race. Only an hour and 20 minutes comparatively to a 6, 12 or 24-hour race where qualifying may not be as important. First sector through, does a 21.48. Does Harry Dodds as we come up through turn 3. Such a difficult section of circuit at turn 3. Very easy to outbrake yourself and run it out too wide. But he's done nicely there to keep it nice and tight as he comes down towards turn 4 here. On board with him now, you can hear him trying to get down the gears, trying to hug it as tight as possible through that corner. And then run it out as wide as possible too. Just to keep the momentum in the car, keep the pace on all 4 wheels as we come through turn 6 and in towards turn 7. There's such a tough corner down here, Jackos. How can he maximise this run through here?
Oh, you got to make sure that you're smooth on your inputs. As you can see, he is. He's got a little bit of correction there on the steering wheel. But you got to make sure that you're smooth through there, get nice to the apex early, flat on the way out, and just maximise the track speed.
Down through the final couple of corners. Hasn't looked like he's copped a curb strike just yet, so this could be a clean run here for Harry Dodds. As he comes down and across the line to finish his shootout lap. He sets a 1:30.16. Unfortunately for him, that's slower than his regular qualifying time, and based on the pace we saw in qualifying, that may not be a very competitive lap comparatively to the rest of the field. We'll drag him in though. Mr. Dodds, a bit slower there than your regular qualifying time. How did it feel there to get the car out on track?
Felt pretty good to get the car on track. It's just like, I think the track felt a bit greasier than normal because the qualifying session we did, it was 33-degree track temp, and now, even though it's just dropped, it still feels a bit loose. But yeah, well, obviously first one out, got the banker in, set the marker for everyone. It's gonna be a tough challenge tonight.
Well, Jackos, do you have anything you want to ask Mr. Dodds before we let him go?
Oh, not racing related, but how did you enjoy the footy this week?
No comment.
Oh well.
Yeah, being a Cats fan, I was a bit disappointed on Saturday night, but who cares? We're due for a loss anyway.
Oh, well, mate, hopefully you can have a better showing tonight than the Cats did and try and keep it inside the top 10. Best of luck.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, mate. All right, Mr. Coleman is out on track, and he'll be looking to maximise this run in his first effort here in the shootout for the 2024 season for Sunday nights. For season 2, I should say, actually, of 2024. Dodds, 3 votes in the chat. Well spoken, Dodds. Up the D's. A lot of love there for Mr. Dodds as Coleman brings it through Sector 1, and he's gone faster than Doddsy. That's a lot of pace, actually, to gain over Doddsy. He did a 26. Coleman's done a 21. Oh, that's a lot of pace gained. How's he pulled that off? He's driving like an absolute pro right now. Is Mr. Coleman, the birthday boy at Fishy. He's one of many birthday boys today at Fishy. I don't know how they've lined that up so well through turn 6 and down towards turn 7. Gets a 39.37 through sector 2. I know what's happened. It's counting Doddsy's last sectors, and they would have been on his slowdown lap. That's why it's reading like that on the data. But at the moment for Coleman, he is on for provisional pole position as he comes through turn 9 and in through turn 10. Needs to keep it nice and tight. Doesn't want to run it out too wide, because you can cop that curb strike. Through the final corner he comes, and up to cross the line does Mr. Coleman. What is the time looking like here for the Fishy driver? Has he kept it clean, or is it not counted?
It doesn't look like it's counted.
No, he must have copped a curb strike. Well, we'll drag him in and have a chat to him about it. Mr. Coleman, have you copped a curb strike across that lap?
Yeah, I just cut the corner at the last bit. It was a 29.88, so it would have been alright, but it is what it is. Worst I can start's 10th, so not really too much of a loss, which is good.
Well, I mean, how are you feeling coming into the race? Obviously, you had a nice bit of teamwork working there with Delaney and Kirby in qualifying to get you inside the 10. And you've really only got to drop one spot now unless someone else screws up their lap. You feeling the pressure before tonight's race, or are you just hoping to cruise around and maybe just make some gains?
My quali pace wasn't as strong as I was hoping. Race pace, I think I'll probably pick up a few, and if I can, like the set looks after the tyres, so I think it's going to work well with the limited tyre set. Hopefully if I get a top 5, I'll be happy.
Very good, mate. Well, best of luck in tonight's race, and as always, happy birthday.
Yeah, cheers, boys. Have a good call.
Thanks, mate. Sorry, Jackos. We were running a lower bit for time there for Mr. Doble starting his lap. We'll try and get you to ask Delaney or Maguire or Kirby if it's their birthday. As Brad Doble comes up through Sector 1, a 21.3, so he's already gone faster than David Coleman through Sector 1. He will be looking to crack that time of Harry Dodds, currently at the top of the timing tower at this stage in time. There's a lot of love for Mr. Doddsy in the chat. Any danger of someone contesting Dodds? Well, we'll have to wait and see. He's currently survived one challenger.
Getting sideways. Sorry, Hamish.
You're right, mate. You're right.
Doble getting sideways over the exit of the turn 4 there, and must have lost a couple of tenths at least.
Well, we'll have to see what the split looks like as he comes into Sector 2. 39.7, so not faster than Mr. Coleman's previous best efforts as Brad comes through turn number 8. To try and get it out as wide as possible through there, but not landing in the sand trap. Nice wide entry here into turn 9 as well. Such a tough part of the circuit. Can he keep it on the black stuff, or will he cut the corner like Coleman did? Looks pretty good through the final corner. As Brad Doble comes down across the line, is the time going to count? And is it going to beat Mr. Dodds to P1 on the road? Has it not counted? It hasn't counted.
Doddsy's still on top.
Somehow Doddsy is surviving at the moment. Mr. Doble, where did the curb strike happen? Because the time doesn't seem like it's counted.
No, so scared. down the bottom there. I ran a little bit wide, grabbed a little bit of dirt.
Well, are you feeling at least? Do you feel at least strong for the race? How did the lap feel prior to that happening, though? Did it feel nice and nice and clean?
The lap was feeling good. I got around turn 1, so I was happy about that. Things were looking good. I think maybe the track temp, looking at 28 degrees, we're qualifying there before to get into this with 34, sort of got to my head, and I just pushed a little bit hard.
Well, hopefully you can put all the pieces together for the race, mate. You showed some good pace in practice to qualifying. Hopefully it matches for race pace as well. Best of luck tonight.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
Mate. Well, Mr. Kirby is now out on circuit. Now that he's got some pace in this car, Jackos, do you reckon he could be the one to finally topple the mighty Harry Dodds, currently in P1 and the only one able to set a time so far?
Possibly. The chat seems to be giving him a good omen of a guardian angel at the moment and making everyone to make a mistake.
We'll see if David Kirby can pull this off for Fishy Motorsports. Not fastest through the first sector. That still sits with Brad Doble. Although his time hasn't counted, so, well, I mean, at best, Kirby's going to be P2. I mean, sorry, at worst, Kirby's going to be P2 if he can put a lap together. At best, he's going to be P1 at the moment in qualifying. Round through turn number 5 and up through turn 6 he comes. Such a challenging part of the circuit. Jamie Dyke in the chat giving some love to Mr. Kirby. So the Fishies are now trying to balance it out with all the Dodds supporters in the chat as he gets a 39.3 through sector 2. In fact, he's actually gone fastest. He actually went faster through there on his outlap, but it must have, I don't know, it's claiming it's fastest on the data. I'll have to wait and see as he comes down towards the final corner. Everyone else has been copping off tracks. Has it been kept clean for Mr. Kirby as he comes up and across the line? Flashes the lights as he comes across and he goes P1.
When P1, as I said before, Hamish, that you loved by a fish scale.
That one, legitimately by a fish scale. Mr. Kirby, you've pulled that off by absolutely nothing there. 0.03 of a second. And currently provisional P1 on the road. Could it get any better on your birthday for such an effort?
One, it's not my birthday, but thank you whoever from the fish that put that one through. That's not going to get past me, but no, look, that was all right. I was a bit scrappy, but track temp was sort of going up and down through the lap, I was noticing. So, look, we'll see where we end up. We may move a couple of spots forward from quali, but I'm just happy to get a lap in, to be honest.
Mate, just quickly before we let you go, what's the vape flavour of choice tonight?
I think it's a, what is it? A watermelon or something, I think.
Oh, very good. Well, best of luck in the race tonight, mate. Hopefully you can keep it up the front of the top 10 at the moment, and maybe we'll get a few more off tracks to keep you in pole position as well.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, Haim. Have a good call, guys.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah.
As we have race controller aficionado for the vets, Anthony Visma on track now, Jack Oz. We know he's got pace in this car. Hopefully he can pull something out in qualifying and see if he can knock Kirby off the top of the timing sheets.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
He comes down through turn 4. Mentioned it's such a tough corner through there, and just trying to keep the car as steady as possible. He's gone 21.5 through the first sector. So he's still unable to beat Brad Doble's first sector time. What that lap could have been if it had counted for him, but he's gone fastest through the second. So it's looking like Kirby may not be on the top step for much longer here if Visma can pull this out through turn 9 and 10. Comes on through. Turn 9, nice, smooth running through there, but a little bit of a drift on exit. And as he comes down through turn 10, nice wide exit through there. Doesn't look like he's got anything in terms of an off-track. Crosses the line. Has the time counter for Anthony Visma? It has, and it's the first 29 of the top 10 shootout with a 29.9 there for Mr. Visma. A fantastic time from him. Mr. Visma, we're finally getting some actual times in here for qualifying, and you're the first man to get into the 29s. How'd the lap feel for you? Are you there, Anthony? Oh, unfortunately, I think we've lost Mr. Visma. Unfortunately for us. Maybe he just didn't want to chat to us, Jackals. Maybe that was the problem. As we have Mr. Ty Delaney out on track now. Still rolling around. How does it feel, Jackals, to have someone at such a young age already be so much faster than the both of us?
Oh, it's a given, isn't it? We're not exactly fast.
No, that's true.
We're just armchair experts, mate.
Oh, I mean, if you can't drive, you commentate, don't you? So.
And if you can't commentate, you just comment.
Oh, is that why you're in the chat every week?
100%.
As Delaney comes through Sector 1, 21.7 does the young fella. So we still haven't managed to beat Brad Doble's first sector time, but the pace has really been coming out of the cars through Sector 2 and 3. So we'll see what the young fella can do, the young guppy. No Blake Delaney here tonight, I do believe. So we don't get to see the Delaney battle on track. But we'll see what Ty can do. P2 in the championship last season in behind Darren Lobb. So we know he's got some pace in him. A regular Scops driver. Near about 5k I rating. And, well, he's just a wizard behind the wheel is the young fella as he comes through turn 8. 39.1 for Sector 2. So this is going to be a very respectable lap, but not looking like one that's going to be good enough for pole position at the moment as he comes through turn number 9. Nice exit there. Doesn't cop the off track on turn 10. This lap looks like it's going to count. Big flash of the lights for us. They know we love a bit of a flash, Jack Oz. As he gets a 130.18, so it wasn't even good enough to beat Dodsey. And currently Ty Delaney, best he can do is P8 on the road here tonight in the shootout. Young guppy, Ty Delaney. Ty, what happened there, buddy? Was it a tough lap for you to try and find some pace out of the car? Best you're going to get now is P8. I mean, how's it feel going into the race?
So, I don't know how to say it, but not a good lap whatsoever. I had to go to second to turn 1. Probably cost me like a 10th all the way down that second straight. But better than not sitting a lap. So I mean, the boys and the other boys could get an off track. But yeah, not the best lap, but I'll take it over not setting a place.
How's it feel to get one up over Coleman because he couldn't even pull a lap together?
Yep, very good when you get one over Coleman. Yeah, like I said, not a bad lap, but pretty good getting one in Coleman.
Oh, mate, we've got your next teammate, Jamie Dyke, out on track getting ready for his lap. Best of luck for tonight's race. Hopefully it goes a bit better for you than the shootout did.
Yeah, cheers. I'll try my best. Thank you.
Worries, mate.
Happy birthday too, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
See you, Ty. Nicely done, Jack Oz. As Mr. Dykes come through the first sector with 21.4. So yeah, there's a couple of fish in the water tonight for this shootout at the moment. We've already seen Coleman, we've already seen Kirby, we've already seen Delaney. Got Dyke out on track, and we still have Troy Maguire to come. So there's a lot of opportunities here for a fish to get up on pole position.
Yeah, there is a bit of a whiffy smell in the air, isn't it?
Do you reckon, is it a chip shop kind of smell, or is it a waterfront kind of smell?
Oh, it's got to be the fishing pier. As we see, what did he set? A 39.1.
Yep, just under a 39.1. So he's not too far off the pace at the moment. He's only a little bit off Anthony Visma's time through the second sector, but he went faster through the first. As he comes down through the final corner What's the lap time looking like here for Mr. Dyke as he comes across the line? Former champion of the pros. Fastest through the final sector. That's good enough for pole position, a 129.6. And he's blown Anthony Visma out of the water with that lap as we drag him in. Mr. Dyke, that lap right there. We finally get another 29, and it's, well, that's a pretty respectable time. That's one that could hold pretty steady with a 29.6. How did it feel to get that one done?
Yeah, it was alright. Just try to keep it on the black stuff really and not get it off track. The track has cooled down quite a bit, so as long as you can, you know, not lock a wheel or whatever, you can get some time out of it. I probably had a bit more in that. So will Blake and Griffith, to be honest.
Well, I mean, obviously back in the series, you had a fairly good run last time out. Are you feeling confident coming into Red Bull Ring here tonight?
Fairly confident. Yeah, I feel good. Did a few laps this week. Yeah, can't wait.
Well, mate, great to have you back once again. Great job in qualifying. Hopefully you can at least keep it on the front row here tonight, or possibly even keep it in P3. But we're going to move over now to your teammate Troy. Hopefully he doesn't pit you too quickly. But best of luck in the race.
No worries, man. Have a good call.
Thanks, mate. Mr. McGuire's out there, and he's very bright lime green fishy car. It's going to be hard for us to miss this one on track here tonight.
Must be a Simpsons themed one with the uranium soaked fish. But yeah, it's definitely going to be hard to miss.
That's a deep cut and a half. That's a phenomenal reference if ever I've seen one. I've also just noticed Andrew Russworth's comment, "Let's go Visma." And then when he wouldn't talk, it's just a man of few words. He let the lap do the talking for him here tonight. As you can see, Troy Trundle on round. He's done a 21.5 in the first. He's done well on that opportunity. Could be on here to beat Visma's time still. Up towards P2. 39.08 or 09 in the second. Once again, still a good looking time here. It's going to come down though to the final sector, and if he can hold this together, around the final couple of corners comes Troy Maguire. Through turn 9, needs to keep it nice and tight. Doesn't want to run it too wide. Does well. And in through turn 10. Doesn't look like an off track. I think this one might count. Is it going to be good enough though to go to the top of the timing tower? No, it's not. It's a 29.83 from Troy Maguire, and he goes P2 on the road after that lap. Mr. Maguire, a fishy 1-2 at the moment. You managed to pit Mr. Visma there for P2. I reckon you guys are going to be able to hold this out with Griffin and Blake still to come?
A bit of a mistake there by Hamish.
What have I done? What did I do?
Oh, you went into the green room.
No, I didn't, did
and
I?
then you came back.
Yeah, I was like ding, 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 making all these noises.
Well, that's weird. Oh, that's weird. I'm sorry that's happened, but Mr. Maguire, a positive lap by you there to get it into P2. Do you reckon you and Mr. Dyke are going to be able to, with last Blake and Griffin charging at you now in their laps in the shootout?
Most probably not. Mine was pretty conservative, so I didn't go too hard. I think the plan for Jamie and I is hopefully hold on to the boys in the draft and stick with them and see if we can do something.
Well, hopefully you guys can hold this together. A couple of fish in the top 10, so you guys had a great outing as a team in the qualifying efforts. Hopefully it comes together and stays that way for the race, mate. Best of luck.
Yes, thank you very much. Cheers, boys.
I don't know how I did that. I'm going to be honest.
Neither do I.
I've got no idea, as Mr. Warboys has now started his lap as well. Yeah, I don't know.
You dragged Warboys in here, and then you joined the green room.
Oh, that's weird. That's weird. I thought I dragged in Mr. Maguire, and then we were all set to go. But that's all right though. Mr. Warboy's on for his lap. We know he's got some pace in this thing, and he's a very, very strong competitor in a supercar. But that first sector's not looking quite so competitive at the moment. Maybe we found the crux in his armour here tonight.
Yeah, according to my my live timing, it says that he has done a 21.7, which is still a pretty good lap. It's only what 0.4 away from the fastest time set by Doble in the first sector.
He has gone fastest though through sector 2 with a 38.6, so he's already looking to get onto the top step at the moment as he comes through the final sector. Needs to keep it nice and clean though across these final couple of corners. Oh, bit of a wiggle though from the WKMP machine of Mr. Warboys. Crosses the line with a big old flash. It's 29 dead, and it's going to be good enough for pole with a 129.4 for qualifying there for Mr. Warboys. Blake, I'm sorry about the confusion before if I dragged you in here or anything like that might have happened, but
I was wondering what was happening there.
well, I'm glad to see I didn't put you off too much, mate, because you still found some pace out of it and got that 29.4. How do you feel, though, knowing that Griffin could be a nice little challenger for you this week?
I reckon if he doesn't make a mistake, he'll have pole here. I cost myself quite a lot in that turn 1 and then in the middle there, so if he doesn't make a mistake, he should be good, but then I reckon we should be on for a good race.
Obviously an incredibly dominant performance last week. You know, are you hoping tonight you can get a good little challenge out of Griffin or possibly Dikey up the front and have a good battle across the hour and 20 minutes of racing?
Yeah, I reckon it should be good. Yeah, Griffin will definitely make for a good challenge, and I reckon the Fishy boys will have some good race pace up their sleeves that they're hiding, so it should be game on.
Well, mate, best of luck for tonight. We know you got the pace in it. Hopefully you can keep it nice and clean and give us a good show.
Yeah, try my best. Thank you.
Thanks, mate. Well, our final driver out on track is this man here, Griffin Gardner of 9.5 Sim Sports. Now home to the likes of Scott Gamble and, of course, Sean McNamara, but it's Griffin who is representing this team here tonight. And we know he's got pace in the supercar. He proved it in the regular qualifying, getting that 29 dead. If he can pull a lap together here, it could be absolutely extraordinary. First sector, we finally get someone who's beaten Brad Toble's time through there at 21.2. And this is already looking like an absolutely wild and feisty lap for us here, Jack. This could be our pole sitter if he can hold it together through the second and third.
Yeah, this corner might test him here, though. You always want to get on the throttle earlier than you should. So hopefully he's able to... Yep, he's able to get the power down nicely, and he's feeding it into what I find the most difficult corner in the track. You never know when to turn in properly. Well, he does it very nicely.
He does. He's proven he's got feet like dinner plates as he comes through turn 7. With a 38.7 through the second sector. I knew that would break you as soon as I said it.
Feet like dinner plates.
Yep. He's hoping to get up the timing tower like a pop-up toaster as he comes through turn 9 and in towards turn 10. This could be good enough to go straight to the top for Griffin Gardner. Keeps it nice and tidy through the final corner. Across the line he comes, flashing the lights. That's going to be good enough for pole position with a 128.71. 7/10 of a second faster than Blake Warboys for pole position. Griffin Gardner, the face on your icon in Disco right now is the face I just pulled when I saw that time. How have you pulled that out of this 9.5 Sim Sports Commodore?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty solid lap. Missed turn 1 slightly, but it had a bit of inside front lock, but lap in general was pretty good. Yeah, I got the best of the conditions compared to everyone else, so I probably got a bit of a kickstart there, but yeah, no, I was happy with that.
Well, you I mean, with a time like that, though, under difficult conditions, is this now just raising the confidence going into tonight's race, knowing that you're able to pull something out of this car and keep it on pole position after both qualifying and the shootout?
Yeah, no, had Pro Series on Wednesday, so I've done plenty of laps around here this week, so happy with the car and hopefully just have a good race.
Oh, mate, hopefully we can see you keep rocking it up the front with Blake throughout this one. Maybe you'll even be able to walk away with it too. But best of luck for tonight's race, and hopefully we get to chat to you afterwards as well.
Thanks, mate. Cheers for that.
Thank you. Yep, as soon as I heard you say this corner will test him, Jack, I knew what you were doing, and I was willing to pull out the classic
Dennis
I
Committee Lions.
wasn't actually meaning that this time.
Oh, I thought you were.
So you're calling me off guard.
I'm glad. I'm glad I did. As we wait for Griffin to pull it in to end out our qualifying session here tonight so we can get our top 10 shootout results ready for you before we head into the race server here tonight for Red Bull Ring for round number 2 of Season 2 of 2024. Don't forget, if you haven't already, ladies and gentlemen, hit the subscribe button, the bell icon as well, so you are notified anytime we go racing. Heaps of racing to come this season. We're only at round number 2 of 9 rounds, so there's still 7 more races to come after this one. There's going to be so much more racing action coming your way and on offer for you too throughout the proceedings of this season. Next week's race, of course, is a big one for the Supercars as we head out to Algarve for the first time in the Supercar for Portimao. It's a feisty little circuit. It'll really test the drivers. Have you had a chance to drive the new circuit yet, Jackos, and possibly even do it in a Supercar?
No, I haven't actually. I haven't driven it in any track or any car on that track yet. I know that round 1 of the F3s were there, and I only didn't drive it because my teammate wasn't going to, and turns out he's not driving the whole season. So,
how rude of him.
As well as considering subscribing and hitting the bell icon, don't forget to like the stream because it also helps get the channel out there through the algorithm.
That's exactly right. You'd see you're doing everything right here tonight, Jackals. Getting the prompts all perfected for us, and as mentioned, it helps us out a lot. You know, that algorithm is such a tough nut to crack sometimes on YouTube, even through other streaming platforms too. But I mean, of course, it's free to subscribe as well, and it helps us out immensely. Plus, you get so much racing on your screens throughout a season when you do that for us. So we would highly appreciate it. But we're going to get into our race session now, so it may take us a little bit longer than it normally would for a regular round. Of course, we have to wait for the new session to open, and then for us to be able to join and get ready to go. But hopefully, it doesn't take us too long here tonight to get into the racing formats for you here out at Red Bull. Where would you rank Red Bull, Jack, in terms of, I don't want to say tracks worldwide because there are so many worldwide, but maybe just tracks in Europe? Where would you rank this track in terms of, number one, how good it is or how bad it is, and how difficult it might be as well, even looking at it on a surface value?
It's always a tricky one. Like, it looks so easy on paper when you just look at that image that you've got on screen, and you look at it and you think, oh, that track's easy. It's just a couple corners and a couple straights. But it actually is quite a lot more difficult than you think, with the undulations and just the long corners, especially in the V8s. It makes it so difficult to keep the car from breaking loose or understeering. And I don't know where I'd rank it on the difficulty scale compared to other European tracks. But it's definitely up there.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that I think catches a lot of drivers out, is it doesn't show that undulation, doesn't show that elevation change. It's a little bit like Portimao in a way, or even others as well. I mean, you know, the Nürburgring, for example, you look at the full Nordschleife and you think, yeah, that's a difficult track because it looks super technical, where this looks super simple, but it isn't. It is deceivingly technical, and it really catches a lot of drivers out, which is what I think has been catching a lot of drivers out at Portimao, especially in round number 1 with IMSA and with F3. Caught a lot of drivers out with the undulation and with how some exits of corners, they come out at the top of a hill and the car's underweight. You know, all of a sudden it's lifting as you come up, and then you just spin it round. So it's going to be a big test this week when we head out there, but I think tonight's going to be a great test for them as well, and a good precursor to next week's race out at Portimao as well, with the Red Bull Ring here tonight.
Exactly. People think that you can just put boot to leather and go flat out, but that's definitely not the case with these tricky corners.
We've had rumours in the chat that there's a wild card entry tonight. I'm not sure who it might be. And as Rusty said there, track has such an enjoyable flow. It's a great hot lap track. Yeah, when you can pull a lap together around here, you feel on top of the world, don't you? You know, when you get every single sector, every single corner perfected, and it all comes together for a fantastic lap.
Yeah, it feels extremely rewarding when you can get a difficult track like this down pat. It's as I said before, it doesn't seem like it's as difficult, but when you get onto the track, it's surprisingly difficult. And yeah, it just feels very rewarding when you get it right.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, what we might do is, because it's taking a little bit of time to get the session set up, we'll head back to our countdown screen. We'll run through our little ad roll, and then we will return once everything's set up and ready to go. Don't go anywhere, though, because we still have a nice big race to come for you here tonight, an hour and 20 minutes around the Red Bull Ring. It's going to be absolutely wild action out there with a lot of fast-paced drivers out on track for display in the Supercars here tonight. So hopefully I think we will definitely get a great show on hand for you here at the Red Bull Ring. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back very, very soon.
Total one, this is amazing. I was clash heads again. This is like Chaz Mostert and Cam Water.
It's motorsport, but not as you know it. Test yourself and your everyday road car. Safe, affordable, but most of all, fun. And all you need is your daily driver. Experience the thrill of a sprint day. Race against the clock at a hill climb. Or test your reflexes with an auto test. It takes just 3 simple steps to get started. Get on the start line. Search Motorsport Australia Daily Driver today.
Fishies in a row. They're here to make a point and to do Eddie proud. They fan out in the background as they come down to turn 1 for the first time. It all looks pretty good, 2 by 2. We'll stop the camera here. Oh, Eddie would be proud, mate. That was awesome run around turn 1. But oi! Contact with the fishies.
He's made it through. It doesn't look like Angus has made it, but Thomas Freeman's made it through, and Angus is going to suffer the crowd coming through there to be able to turn his car around.
I love riding. It's a real social thing. There's a great bond between riders.
Every weekend, I look forward to getting out there. It's a freedom like no other.
Riding to work is a great way to start the day.
Shannons insure all types of road bikes, not just classics. They offer features riders really want. It's why they're one of Australia's leading motorcycle insurance providers.
Whatever you ride,
whatever you ride,
Whatever you ride.
ride with Shannons.
Call 134646 for a quote.
And they are off. It was a good start from Dylan De Bono. I think Phil Vella got a great start there in the background as well. You can see already cars going 5, 6 wide as they're trying to find any semblance of space. They come into T1. So far we've got 2, 3 wide as they snake down. It's Michael Conchar that's got around Dylan De Bono. A couple of cars going wide there. Was that a bit of contact in the back? Scott Pocock caught up in that, I think, there, buddy. But it's Michael Cullajar's got past, so Dylan...
Light is coming out and we're about to get going, and we have a green light and a very slow start for the 86s, but they are moving out there on the grid. It would be very interesting to see exactly which driver can capitalise on this first lap. Just go through the grid. Look like Jamie Christensen had a really awesome start to get ahead of Dylan De Bono, and Doug Gowage also jumped his teammate as well, so unfortunately Dylan stalled the car a little bit more than what he preferred. But
Weekend in, weekend out, Motorsport Australia officials are making waves. From waving flags, waving cars through pit lane, or responding to a wave for help. Wave hello to new lifelong friends. Who knows, you might just make waves around the world. Ride the first wave Search Motorsport Australia officials today.
They're still great classes of car, and if you are able to, if you're coming up the ranks on iRacing through the licenses, it's a fantastic sort of laneway into prototype driving, going from that GT3 up through the prototype classes. As the safety car pulls in, we get ready to go green as we come up towards the line. Edwards, Hasler, who's going to get the jump down to turn one, or will any of the fishies, any of the piranhas in behind them, assault them down towards
They're green and they're
this
off.
first lap? Let's go here.
We've always had a few cars. They're all special. The T-Bird,
Oh, that's mine.
the Combi for when we want to get away, the XR8.
It's going to be a classic.
They're all insured with Shannon's,
We've also got Shannon's home and contents cover.
which helps protect our automotive collectibles, tools and memorabilia in the home and garage. If you're motoring enthusiasts like us, it's got to be.
Shannon's.
Shannon's, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 13 46 46 for a quote.
The total one, this is amazing. I was clash heads again. This is like Chaz Mostyn and Cam Waters. Almost the same situation. Better contact going down to the hill. Sam Noble wants to sniff on Dave Coleman now. Sam Noble bottle right now because I'll tell you what, Bruce Tanak and Jamie Dyke just absolutely drove away from us. Hayden trying to go around the outside. This is where he could have just sent it up to the side, but he hasn't implemented it, which is fair enough. It's very scary out there, ladies and gentlemen. God's just absolutely thinking, but it is a really nice move. Blake Delaney had to move out of the way.
All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, and we are back into our race session now with a couple of cars out on track for a little cheeky warm-up here prior to the session, or prior to the race goes live, to give the drivers just a bit of hope to find a little bit more pace in the car. Late entry John Gallen has now joined the session as well for Pacific Esports Racing. He ended up getting the class win on Tuesday, or got, sorry, no, P2 on the road on Tuesday night. Nearly took out the win over Jamie Davis, but wasn't quite there in the end. See though if he can pull off a miraculous display here tonight against some of these pro drivers out on track, as Bruce Tanak tries to continue to find pace out of his car on this track as well. Obviously, before such a long race, Jack Oz, what's kind of the warm-up going on in the car for some of these drivers? Do you think maybe getting their mentality straight, maybe trying to tweak some setup stuff? What's going through the minds at the moment for these drivers before heading out there for an hour and 20 minutes inside of a supercar?
Yeah, you'd most likely, you hit the nail on the head there. You'd be checking, seeing what the track conditions are like, and seeing how they're different to the sessions that we were just in, and if they need to make some setup changes to suit it better, then they'll be doing that and getting on top of it for the long race ahead.
Obviously, we have quite a few drivers out there, roughly 20 in the race here tonight. We've already had the question, where's Doddsy? There's Doddsy coming out of pits now.
They love their Doddsy today, don't they?
They do. They love their Doddsy.
It is great to see the support for drivers, though.
Yeah, it is. And, of course, we'd love to get more and more support for the rest of the field, not just, obviously, Doddsy or the Fishy Boys. We'd love to get some love for everyone else out there too. So hopefully, if anyone's watching, hoping to support their drivers, they give the support if they're not in the chat. I'm just going to say it right now. My cat is being an asshole at the moment. He wanted to get let in. I let him in, and now he wants to get let straight back out again. So if you give me a moment here, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to let him out.
He's just being the stereotypical child, wanting what he doesn't have at the moment, isn't he?
Prick, but I know he knows I love him, so takes advantage of that.
I've seen in the chat, Sean Vandermeulen has asked if Gallant is no longer in the amateurs anymore if he's driving car.
Yeah, so there was obviously talks about John Gallen moving up into the Pro-Am class after getting P1 in the amateurs on Tuesday night and actually finishing top 2 in the standings.
So he's now been promoted to Pro-Am, I would say, which now allows him to race on both Tuesday and Sunday as well.
I do apologise if I absolutely butchered that name too.
I read it as Sean Vandermeulen. He's in the vets as well as SIW, so he's actually pretty fresh to iRacing from memory. I don't think he's been on for even a year. He's less than that, so. Steph saying that he thinks he's a Pro-Am apparently, so spot on. There you go. We got it spot on for Mr. Vandermeulen. So Andrew Busworth saying, nah, he is now Pro. Yeah, he's now Pro-Am, I believe. Yeah. I mean, he had a very good performance on Tuesday. It's pretty hard to look past him being in the Pro-Am class, of course. I mean, there are guys who finished behind him on Tuesday who are in Pro-Am who are at his pace week in and week out. So I have to argue that if they're Pro-Ams, then he should be one as well. So has to be Pro-Am. How does it feel for you, Jackos, as a fellow Pro-Am, to have another quick competitor in that class now as well to give you more battles on track?
Oh, it's always good to have more competition. Obviously, I'm not really up the front of Pro-Am at the moment because I haven't driven these cars very much in the last 6 to 12 months, but no, it's always good to have people to race with.
Now, are you using tonight's race as a bit of a double bubble to try and find more drivers to snipe into your team? A little bit about how Sinker does it for Team SRW?
Oh, not quite. Although I could be looking at this Shane Randell bloke, you know.
Like that's going to happen.
No, just enjoying being here again in the commentary booth. Obviously a bit nervous because it's my first time for probably a year, I would say. So.
No, you did IMSA with me last year, if not last season.
No, it definitely wasn't last season. I think I did it.
I think it was season 4, wasn't it?
Oh, possibly, but I think I only did like 1 or 2 races with you, so.
Oh well, it's, I mean, you know, throw them in the deep end. You know, it's a longer race tonight, so it's more time for you to get comfortable and to get used to supercars being on track and trying to channel your best Crompton or Scaife, depending on which way you want to go in your commentary style for supercars racing, especially around this track as well and in this series.
I could hear you trying to hold back your smile there while you were talking, Hamish.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always good to be back. I do enjoy it. I'm just not great at it because I haven't got the experience. But yeah, I do enjoy it. So.
Excuse me. But well, I mean, you do know that you will be getting more experience, obviously, when you have the opportunity to be in the booth with me for your own race series that'll be happening soon, later this month. So it's getting you ready for that opportunity to come forward and to really hone your craft in that series as well. And who knows, maybe you'll become a regular on SRW with me or elsewhere. We'll have to wait and see how that all pans out.
Yeah, exactly. I look forward to doing the Legends commentary as well as obviously racing them. And yeah, if the opportunity comes along for SRW to either co-commentate with someone or just as a fill-in or whatever. Oh, as we see big contacts there. There is a second last corner.
Between crowd favourites, Harry Dodds and David Coleman, coming together at the pit entry. Might be looked at by race control if one of them's called it in, as we still get some laps being rotated here prior to the race, and it's just building up the anticipation for us to go racing here tonight. As it is looking like we are going to go racing before 8:30, which is good to see. We're going to get in nice and early here tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Especially considering the original start time of what was it, 10:30 for the lobby before they changed it.
They do that to allow. It's so then that the shootout isn't locked in to have to finish at a certain time, because we can't guarantee the shootout's going to take 40 minutes or an hour. It just gives them a bit of leeway to set everything up, and they can always adjust the start time as well.
Yeah, I was just, I know that Jordan and I, when we were looking at the start time, we were a little bit surprised to see that it was saying that late. And I was telling him surely that's not right, because normally they don't go until 11:30ish.
No, it's not right. It's it's the workaround. It's the breathing space. That's all it is. That would be like the latest that they would want to start it if they were going to start it then. And even then, you'd lose your New Zealand races, because it'd be midnight for them if it started at 10 o'clock or 10:30. But no, it just gives us the breathing space to get everything set up. But I mean, can you imagine us doing qualifying at 7, doing the shootout, and then waiting for 2 hours for the race to start at 10:30? We'd be mad.
Oh, you could. I'm sure we could talk to Sinker and maybe put a replay of the Legends in there in between, as a support series.
That would be like real world racing, go qualifying in the midday and then racing in the afternoon after some supports happen in between.
You really weren't lying when you said that the Lions were beating the Suns.
No, I told you. I wasn't lying. I told you. So it's looking good for me, but I have no anticipation. Barb's saying it allows us to preset everything in the session except the grid, so we get racing earlier. Yeah, so it just lets them do it, pre-do everything, and then all they got to do is just set the grid and then start the session early. So it's good though. It's a nice little workaround. Also, we found out in our break that it wasn't me that dragged Mr. Warboys in. It was actually Greg Barber, just to throw him under the bus one more time. Got confirmation in between. He told me, "Oh no, it was me. It wasn't you." I'm like, I thought so. I thought it wasn't me, but we're all good anyway. We got there in the end, and I'm sure we'll have a laugh about it in future anyway. But big night of racing to come here at SRW TV, ladies and gentlemen. Big thank you goes out to all of our series sponsors, including our title sponsors, Warner Brown Tools and Shannon's Insurance, as well as our other sponsors, Motorsport Australia, NeuroPower, DSL Rail Services, Grim Industries, and Shunt Scenery as well. Thank you for supporting the series, and if you guys would like to support the series, then please hit the like button, the subscribe, and the bell icon as well. Get into the chat too, or into the comments section after the stream is over. Let us know what you think of all the action here tonight, and get conversing with us, as we'll have a chat with you throughout the proceedings, as we are going to get ready to go racing now for an hour and 20 minutes around the Red Bull Ring. I like to do some safety car predictions, Jack Oz, with Cowie, obviously, on Wednesday nights. A, do you think we're going to get a safety car? I know we spoke about it earlier. And B, if we do, how many are we going to get?
The safety car around this track, it is a possibility because of the sharp corners and the people getting antsy and like to put a little bit of a spicy dive. But I'm going to predict maybe one, just one, because there is a lot of runoff that people can get to.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with you on that. I think it's a bit of a 50-50 track in terms of if you're going to get the safety car, and if you're going to get one, it's normally nice and early. So I think we got Crummy in the chat with us, the A-team in the booth tonight, as we have the most famous man in the 8-6 field out in the chat cheering us on as we get up our starting grid for tonight's race. Griffin Gardner for 9.5 Sim Sports will start on pole position ahead of WKMP Sim Sports Blake Warboys out of P2. Jamie Dyke and Troy Maguire will then make an all-fishy second row of the grid, with Anthony Visma lining up alongside David Kirby in P5 and P6. Harry Dodds will then line up alongside Ty Delaney out of P7 and 8, with Brad Doble and David Coleman making up the top 10. Jason Strange will then line up alongside P1 for the Pro-Ams, P12 on the road, Troy Dooley for Performance Sim Racing, as they then move back to Gerard Sanfuentes, his teammate, in P13, alongside WKMP Sim Sports Troy Stonestreet out of P14. Alan Dawson and Andrew Cowan will then line up on the 8th row of the grid ahead of Travis Daly and Robert Crow for Simrig's Infinity Motorsport. He'll start ahead of his teammate Shane Randall in P19, with Bruce Tannock making up the top 20 here tonight. John Gallen will then make up the grid in P21 for Pacific Esports Racing, with Greg Barber, Adam Hughes, and Tyson McAvoy, our race controllers here tonight. Great to have them doing race control for us. Without them, we cannot go racing. And it just allows us to get as realistic as possible, but also as fair as possible to how to apply the rules throughout the racing period, instead of having to do post-race penalties for everything out on track to hopefully keep everyone in the game here tonight, especially if there needs to be pit lane or drive-through or redress penalties applied to different drivers, of course.
I'm noticing a lack of LCR drivers in the field, unfortunately. As we're getting away.
So lights are up. Let's go racing at the Red Bull Ring. It's green flag. Gardner's had a great start away, but a big box start there from Troy Maguire off the second row. As Jason Strange has had a massive rocket up through the grid as Tyler Laney tries to keep it in behind Mr. Kirby as they come through turn one for the first time here as they all spread out. Oh, there's been contact there with Jason Strange in the background. That's massive contact with Strange there. If we can get this up on screen, he's parked it up as well as Daly. This could be an early safety car here, Jackos, if these guys aren't moving.
Yeah, you'd hope that Dr. Strange doesn't have to use his teleportation out of here. But yeah, that was a big one early on.
That was a
And it looks like we have got a safety car, which is unfortunate for Mr. Strange and Travis Daly.
The Sorcerer Supreme of calling safety cars has already gotten that one right here tonight with one on the board. This could mean, though, we see more than one if we get one this early, as we know safety cars can breed safety cars. But that was a big moment there through turn one for those drivers. Hopefully they can get back out on track and have a good running tonight. But better to get it out the way early, Jackos, but it means they're going to be running now for the rest of the race without a fast repair.
Yeah, exactly. It's not the way that you want to start the race, that's for sure.
So, Jamie Dyke had a great start. He managed to get it past Warboys early on. But he will now get into the restart in P2 as it'll be a full course yellow and no overtakes allowed. A lot of comments tonight about John Gallen hopefully not blowing his engine throughout this race as he did last time he was here for the Vets prior to Tuesday night's race. Hopefully he doesn't blow it under safety car as the drivers have now crossed the line. Started lap number 2, but we are under full course yellows with that BMW M4 safety car out on track. Brought to you by the promo department, driven by Adam Hughes of Blackout OPR. The newest merged team in iRacing.
You can hear all the fuel saving into action or coming into play already. With I think we were on board with Griffin Gardner for a little bit there, and you can already hear he's putting in the clutch when he can, and some of the other boys as well, just to save that extra little bit of fuel. Means that a shorter stop when they come in.
Of course, they'll be likely to do 2 stops throughout this race. What this will mean is, though, it will then help them, if they can get a couple of safety cars going, more fuel saving means they may only need 1 stop to get home, as one of those stops will be a shorter fill, just to top up the car and get it home. But it means that we see a bit of an imbalance in terms of strategies, as some portion of the field come in early to get a little bit of fuel in and cut down the shorter stop at the end. Instead, they just do a full stop and get it home from a certain point, where some drivers try and go as long as possible early on and then do a short stop in the end to get it home in case of safety cars. So if you were to have this strategy, Jackos, would you want to come in earlier, or would you want to try and go as long as possible whilst trying to save fuel at the same time?
You'd want to try and stay out there and make the tyres last, and then you can have fresher tyres towards the end, and then they would wear less when the track is more rubbered in.
Well, of course, only 1 tyre change available to these cars here tonight, so they need to maximise when they do it. We know that the tyres can last a regular full stint, which is about an hour in the supercar, but I reckon the majority of the field may go for a half distance on that as we get back underway. Gardner leads them through the final quarter to start lap number 3 under green running. Hopefully we can keep it green running for a couple more laps instead of getting that safety car back out on track once again, as we can already see drivers moving around in the background trying to get any semblance of advantage they can, but also maybe just try not to get in anyone's way through these corners here tonight.
See, there's a Bruce Thomas super wide at the first.
He did, way wide through there as You already see the MSR car of Travis Daly letting the whole field through. Trying to not hold anyone up since he is now under blue flag conditions this early on in the race. So himself and Strange, they'll be hoping for a safety car now just to get their lap back on the field and hope to get back into the competition of racing, as Warboys has already now gotten past Dyke across this lap, back up into P2 now and chasing down Griffin Gardner in P1. Come through the midpoint of the track. It's one of the more difficult sections is turn 6 and turn 7. So hard to keep the car turned in and stop it from running wide through that sector there and ending up in the sandpit on the right-hand side. But it's all about how well you have the car balanced and you have your mind balanced. And trying to get the most out of it across a lap as they come down the main straight now to start lap number 4 of this race. 5 minutes, 40 seconds into proceedings. That's how they lie at the moment, with Gardner leading to Warboys and Dyke. That's the top 3. Visma and Kirby in the top 5. Delaney, Doble, Colburn, Dodds, Maguire make up the top 10, with Stone Street, Dooley, Dawson, who's just gotten past Dooley actually for P12 on the road. Oh, there's been contact there with Dawson, and he's been spun round on the exit of turn 1, and he's now going to have to wait for the the opening of the traffic to find a lane and pull out onto the road here.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate to get a spin or to be spun around there. You can see the witness marks on the side of the door. It kind of indicates that he might have been spun around. Or as there's more contact with one of your boys, Robert Crow.
There's been big contact up at turn 3. We'll get some of the replays happening. We'll head back and we'll check out the lap 1, turn 1 incident between Jason Strange and Travis Daly. This we did here up through turn 1, as I mentioned. You can see Strange on the inside there. There's Maguire. There's been a knock. It spins him round. And then, Daly just nowhere to go. Front on contact. And that's big damage for them up at turn 1. And then this was Dawson's incident, the same corner on the restart. See, up the inside, I believe, Travis Daly, Troy Dooley, sorry. And he had a bit of a wiggle.
In there.
Yeah, and he had a wiggle there. That's what caught him. And this was the next corner with Tannick and Crow and Gallen. See them 3 wide up ahead. Do that with Cowie. And 3 into 3 is not going to work. They've all been caught up in that one. Obviously, at the end of the day, it's up to race control, but who do you think has the onus on that one there, Jackos? I mean, Gallen's obviously up the inside. Crowey's in a bit of a sandwich, and Tannick had nowhere to go.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure how far Gallen was up the side of Robbie there, but if he wasn't that far up, obviously it would kind of look like Gallen. But if he was, then it might be a bit more of a racing incident, and obviously Bruce had nowhere to go there.
I think I will say as well, have you got your radio turned on in the session, Jack, so we can hear any calls from race control in terms of penalties or safety cars being called?
I do, but I have it turned down quite a bit so I can actually hear what they're talking to me about.
Okay, no worries, that's all good. Let's see, Jason
I will
Strange.
turn it up a little bit.
That's all right. As Jason Strange lets Mr. Gardner and Warboys through, they're already starting to build a gap here over Jamie Dyke back in P3, so it's an intense top 2 battle early on. But everything could change in an absolute heartbeat. A safety car or a misplay on the strategy could take someone out of contention or bring another one into contention out of nowhere. As Visma's also tightly in behind Mr. Dyke up in towards turn 1, as David Kirby has Ty Delaney and Brad Doble over the back of him, who Doble now has started to separate the fish, with Coleman trying to get past him at this stage.
He's trying to slice his way through like a fish fillet.
What's your go-to fried fish order from a fish and chip shop, Jack? Mine's Blue Grenadier, or Hokie as it's also known, but what's your go-to for that one?
Yeah, mine would just be the... it depends on whether I'm eating by myself or with other people. If I'm eating by myself, it would be flake, because it's just easy. Yeah. And, yeah, Hokie if it's with other people, normally, so...
Nice. I see, I just like Hoki on its own. So I'm going to eat it at any point if I'm going to get fish from a fish and chip shop. But hopefully none of these boys get caught up in a line or in a hook, and hopefully they can keep pushing forward and just keep on swimming, as Nemo once said 20-odd years ago.
I've just heard over the CB radios that the incident between Gallon, Tannic, and Randell, I believe, was no further action.
Okay. I suppose they're a bit of a racing incident with so many cars involved. Too hard to pin one on the other. Steady leads these boys onto another lap in that battle, but it's Griffin Gardner up in P1 at the moment. Sarah Neville at this stage. Nicely tight contested battle packs, but towards the back of the field, everyone's starting to spread out as the incidents have been occurring towards the back, and it's leading to these front boys keeping on battling, but the back guys are getting held up a little bit by getting off the road or getting pushed against a fence.
And we're hearing across the radio chatter that Travis Daly is retiring from the race, unfortunately.
So obviously not seeing a way back into this one is Mr. Daly. Jason Strange still out there though, a lap down at the moment. He'll be hoping for another safety car to come. But he is still ahead of the majority of the field. He's only in behind the top two at the moment, so he's not technically a lap down on everyone at this stage in time, so he could still make some gains back if he can keep this clean. But it is going to be a long road ahead for him with 70 minutes to go in this race towards the checkered flag. This one we got Randall all over the back of Troy Dooley up ahead of them. Not too far behind we have Alan Dawson and John Gallen battling it out outside of the top 15, but this battle here with Cowie, Dooley and Randall starting to heat up a little bit. Hopefully they can get a little bit more condensed and start to battle this out throughout the proceedings and maybe work together to build their way up the order and even chase down San Fuentes and Stone Street. But it's going to be a tough job for Randall here with two teammates ahead of him in Cowie and Dooley, and they'll be working hard to hold him back and push their way up to their teammate San Fuentes in P12.
Yeah, exactly. That you don't want to ever let you don't ever want to let an opposition team past if you can avoid it when you're working together to catch back up to the pack. And as we see, he's gonna force the issue and thank you later. Oh, thank you and see you later. He's got him.
Yeah, he got it done in the end there, but Dooley wants to come back at him. Randall attempted that move in the Vets race at this one, but couldn't pull it off every single time. But he's done well there. Dooley's done well to work with him and let him have it, knowing it's a longer race. And now he'll be hoping that Randall can pull him forward and maybe start putting some pressure on his teammate Cowie possibly here. But we'll have to wait and see how that one's going to work out throughout the rest of this race. Up a little bit further, we got Dodsey putting all sorts of pressure here on David Coleman as the chat goes wild for Dodsey getting on screen once again. But it's a little bit of a losing battle with so many fishies around him here. I'm going to close that one. But this is an intensifying battle with Doble leading this little pack as now Maguire's gotten past Dodds into P9 on the road.
It's a little bit of a sushi box, isn't it, that he's found himself in.
These are incredible references, I must say. Yeah. Can you tell we're hungry, ladies and gentlemen, by talking about so much food? But hopefully Dodsey doesn't end up like a sashimi. Hopefully he ends up like a member at the buffet eating the sashimi ahead of him. As he looks for it up the inside of Maguire, tucks it in nicely. That's a great move there from Dodds as Maguire spins it round in the background. The pressure gets to him, and he now drops down outside the 10, allowing both Stone Street and San Fuentes and possibly Cowie past as well. And there's Randall and Dooley in their battle we mentioned, and all of a sudden Maguire has found himself, well, he's the lone fish. He's the Nemo in this scenario. He's been separated from the school.
We're going to run out of fish references soon, Hamish.
Don't you worry. We're never going to run out of fish references. There's Google for a reason. If we run out, we look up for more. But Dodsey, that was great pressure from him. First beer in the chat saying great pressure, Dodsey, and it's paid off for him here as he's proven that he can snorkel with the best of them. and keep the pressure on the fish. He now tries to chase down Mr. Coleman and P8 on the road, with Doble ahead of him, as well as Kirby and Delaney in their battle for the top 5. We look up a little bit further. This is the front of that battle. Oh, apparently the chat had disconnected and now it's successfully reconnected, so hopefully everything's all good. You still got me there, Jackals?
Yeah, everything should be all good. It's all good on my side.
Okay. I was worried for a second there. How do you reckon, on a personal, how do you reckon Mr. Shoz would go snorkeling with these kind of fish around him?
I reckon he'd be kind of nervous. He was pretty nervous when he found the crabs at the bottom of the ocean, and a couple of these fishies are a bit more aggressive than a couple of crabs, so I think he'd find it quite nerve-wracking, to be honest.
Yeah, I think the piranhas would definitely put the fear into him comparatively to some crabs. But,
In saying that, though, I would love to see him try a V8 supercar.
It'd be fantastic. We haven't seen him in a supercar in a long, long time.
I think last time he drove a supercar, he won Bathurst with me, but that was a very long time ago.
He ended his supercars career on a high. Very smart man is Shozzle, but at the moment it's Brad Doble is in the deep end with these piranhas, and they're all just settling into their rhythms now as we look up towards possibly the first part of the pit stop period, as it should be around about now to maybe lap 15. We start seeing cars come in if they're going for that initial shorter stint and going for the longer stint at the end of the race. Oh, Kirby was really balked up there through turn 1. Doble all over the back of him, but here comes Coleman as well. Maybe that was a little bit of team play though from Kirby to slow up Doble and allow Coleman through. I mean, did it look like that to you, Jackals, or do you think it maybe was just a mistake from Kirby and Coleman's taking advantage?
Yeah, to keep the footy references with Dodsey going, it looks like he gave him a little bit of a shepherd there and let his teammate come through.
Slippery as a steam deal there. Oh, Rusty's getting into it in the chat. Phenomenal. But yeah, that was a bit of a shepherd there, wasn't he? Just he let Coleman run on through into an open goal and held him off as Dodsey's just trailing around the back at the moment trying to find the scrum.
Sometimes that's the best place to be, though. Got to pick up the crumbs.
Well, it's good to see Dodsey doesn't have much leather poisoning tonight, but maybe he'll get Alcantara poisoning if he does any better than he already is.
Jesus.
I can pull him out of nowhere. Just like Eddie Betts from a goal line, or from an outside kick off the forward pocket. See Gardner and Warboys. These boys still battling it out up the front. It's a great intense battle. 9-5 Sim Sports versus WKMP. Couple of pros up the front. Gardner versus Warboys. You see these boys battle it out. I would say both in Scops and in Pro Series, because I'd expect Mr. Warboys to be racing on Wednesdays with Griffin as well. I'm not 100% sure on that. Have you had an opportunity to race?
Missed that
No, that's okay. I said that's all right. I said, are we likely to see, because we know Griffin obviously races in Pro Series. Do we know? I'm pretty sure Blake runs Scops. Does he also run Pro Series as well?
I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. But yeah, they definitely both split one at Scops level, if not. Well, I don't know. I personally haven't watched much of the Logitech E-Series lately, but...
Well, why would you when we've got F3s on Wednesday?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'm not sure if you would class it above Scops level or not, but they're both definitely top tier level of skill.
Have you had a chance to race against them personally?
I think I've raced against Warboys, well, obviously last week, but I didn't race door to door with him. And I don't think I've ever driven against Griffin. So.
For For some reason, I have in my head that Griffin was in devs when I was in devs. But I don't know, because I don't know the timeline of when Griffin found his pace and when he started being competitive. But I recognise his name from a series that I've raced in before. So I'm not sure on that front. But they are, Andrew, they really are aliens. Yeah, Sean's saying he does. So Griffin does. Does Blake also do Pro Series, Sean? I would expect him to, based on his pace, if he does. But yeah, I could have sworn I raced Griffin previously. I can't remember exactly, but I swear I've seen his name on track when I've raced in a previous series. But could not.
I know
give
we've
you a straight
definitely
answer.
got a mutual friend that has definitely raced against both of them in Scops before. In Sean.
Well, yeah, Sean Lindsell, and then obviously fairly close with Scotty Gamble, who's in fact Griffin's teammate as well, but he's had an opportunity to race against both of them as well.
And you can't forget
Mr. Michelson.
Obi-Wan Kenobi himself.
Oh, yes.
Mr. Ben.
Yep, that's right, Mr. Ben. So he's also had the opportunity alongside these guys as well. As Brad Doble and Troy Stonestreet have brought their cars into pit lane, so we're now starting to see a couple of drivers who are bringing their cars in nice and early. Doble wants to get out of that battle with the fishies, maybe get some clean air. Stonestreet, same thing with Sam Fuentes, who was battling him as well. Sean giving us the update here. Both race pro. Griffin is currently Scops champion, and yes, he raced devs. I thought so. So I thought I raced Griffin when I was in devs. I think that was when it was, and even then he was ridiculous when I did devs. So it's good to see him come this far and be an absolute weapon in a supercar as well, especially racing for 952. Say, Jack Oz, at this stage in the race, obviously, it's a little bit like a special event enduro where they want to just settle in for a bit now, maybe save the energy, save the car to battle it out across the final stint and just try and hang with each other at this point.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to use up all your energy and all your tyres straight out the gate. So you'd want to strategically place the car. You wouldn't, if I was War Boys, personally wouldn't want to sit right underneath the bumper of Griffin here, because you'd obviously burn up the front tyres a bit more. But yeah, you definitely want to take it strategically with these long races rather than just full send, full time.
We love a full send, full time.
Oh, we do.
It's, we love a lick the stamp and send it moment. As Maguire's now all over the back of Andrew Cowan here in their battle for P10 on the road. Alan Dawson has now brought his car into the pits. So another early stopper here in this one. As you can see, the war wounds on the side of that fishy car. The side of it looking more like a grilled fish than a fried flake at this stage in time, as he puts all sorts of pressure on Cowan. He's lining it up here for turn 3. Wants to try and maximise the run through the corner. Cowie's smart though. He's going to try and hold that outside line. Oh, they could keep going all the way down to turn 4 like this. Cowie's done well to defend this here on the outside line.
Yeah, he's got a much better exit there, and you see Dooley as well having a little bit of a better exit, catching up very slowly, and they might do what Fishy did earlier and have a little bit of team play to try and get Dooley past.
What this is also doing is if these guys keep battling, it's going to start to drag Randall and Tannick into the affair as well, who are not too far behind them. Around about 1.7 seconds off the back of Troy Dooley here, who's at the rear of this little triad at the moment, but they are still battling it out quite nicely. It's set on board here with Mr. Maguire. See how he's going to tackle this run through turn 9 and turn 10 on the back of Cowie at the moment. Oh, you see, nice and smooth. They are really just trying to look after these cars, look after these tyres at the moment. Jack Oz knowing that they've only got the one tyre change. It's a little bit of a wiggle though from Cowie, and this is now going to give Maguire the run. And he looks like he's going to go for it down at turn 1 here if he can keep it alongside.
Well, he holds on.
Oh, he
very
does.
well. And this invites Dooley up past him as well. So a little bit of team play also could come into that.
Another shepherd happening here from some team play. Cowan tucks it on the inside line. That's going to block off Maguire. Dooley's now past him as Maguire tries to sneak it up the inside once again. This is a great little battle at hand and a great example of team play, but Maguire is bringing it to the performance sim racing boys at the moment. They come through turn 4. Cowie covers that inside line. He's trying to drag Dooley forward with him at the moment. Bit of a wiggle though from Cowie, as Maguire's now left all and he's lonesome on the outside, but he's going to have the inside run at the next corner. Oh, this is great battling by these boys and a great example of nice, close racing, but respectful racing as well, Jackals, as they haven't really banged doors in this one.
Oh, 100%. You gotta pay respect to your fellow competitors, and they'll pay it back to you. Well, hopefully they'll pay it back to you. As we can see here, these boys are definitely playing nicely together. As we see, he's trying to line him up maybe for the last corner. A bit of a wiggle out of the exit of the second last corner there, and falling off a little bit.
And it's really hurt Dooley now as Maguire still trying to line this up for one. They're going to be side by side once again, but Cowie still defending it hard on the outside here. Do you reckon Cowie needs to be careful not to burn these tyres out too much? Because Maguire probably actually has the tyre advantage now, not having to force the issue too much at the moment.
Yeah, you definitely always a big lock up there.
That's a big lock up. As Tanik's also now gotten past Randall in the background.
I thought he was gonna make it 3 wide there. That would have been a bit of a dicey move.
Yeah, it would have been real spicy and dicey for the mag and turbo entry of Tanik for DPR. So they come through 4. This is now
all sideways on the exit there.
Rename him to Takami and give him an 8.6, and he'll be in his own little world at the moment as Tanik sneaks it up the inside of Maguire. That's a great little move there from the DPR driver, who now looks to line up Troy Dooley as well at this stage. This has now allowed Andrew Cowan to just drift away at this point in time with a fast approaching Bruce Tanik coming up on his teammate here.
Yeah, exactly. Bruce Tanik must have been licking his lips seeing those guys fighting at each other. And it goes up the inside, goes wham bam, thank you man, give me that position.
Always a pleasure to commentate with you, Jackals. As Troy Maguire's now brought it in. So he wants to hop out of that battle, thinking he'll probably get some clean air here and probably give him a bit of an advantage for an undercut possibly on both Cowan and Tanik.
Fast repair too is the question.
That's true. Will he use that fast repair?
It looks like he hasn't.
No, he's keeping it. Yeah, I think that's probably the smarter play at the moment. It's not really going to affect him too much. He'll be saving that though for a big wreck if it happens, knowing that he's been going door to door with other drivers.
Yeah, and he was displaying a lot of pace out there, so he probably can get away with not repairing. So definitely the smart play there.
Well, we are getting into regular pit stop period now, up towards the half-an-hour mark. So it is looking like a 2-stop affair still here tonight. We went, I believe it was 30. Oh, it was 33. I can't remember. My brain's gone. I can't even remember how many laps we did on Tuesday. But I think, knowing last week, we're likely going to go a lap longer with the likes of Gardner and Warboys up the front. With the kind of pace they're displaying, they're averaging 1 minute 30s and then low 1 minute 30s across the laps. So these guys have got pace to burn, and they've already gapped Anthony Visma in P3 by 13 seconds at this point. So they're starting to walk away with it, but we could get a nice top 2 battle towards the end of this race. Look at this. The Fishies all lined up with Dodsey in behind, so he's still deep full forward at the moment, trying to get the pill and kick a goal, but he's got 3 defenders ahead of him holding him off at the moment.
He's got a bit of a fish kebab going on ahead of him, doesn't he?
He does.
He's got to try and catch it and put it on the barbie.
Steph's saying 34 on Tuesday, she's fairly sure of, so We'll have to see as Bruce Tannick's had a bit of a moment down at turn 3. What's he done here? It hasn't told me he's crashed. So I think maybe he had a bit of a tight exit possibly. It was like this.
He does have damage on the left front now, so maybe he had contact with.
He wanted it on Cowan. Oh, it was a big
lit it
slide.
up too early.
Yeah. So I'd say the damage is probably still from the earlier contact with Gallen and Crow at the same corner. So he hasn't come in just yet and possibly fixed the car at this point in time. Although he did come in on lap 1, but he'll still be needing 2 more stops. So he's still going to be back towards the end of the field after the pit stops, unless he can make his way up through the field and get some track position prior to that final stick of the race. As Mr. Randall tries to chase down Troy Dooley, as well as Andrew Cowan. So since as Robert Crow comes into the pits for his stop, managed to not cross the pit entry line this time as he did on Tuesday. Hopefully saving him from getting a slowdown once again. Now that we're getting up towards the halfway point of this race, Jack Oz, I mean, Gardner and Warboys, who do you reckon's going to possibly pip the other in this one and maybe take the win?
Oh, it's too difficult to tell. They're both driving really well. It looks like, just from those couple corners there, it kind of looks a bit like Blake might have a bit of extra grip on or a bit of extra turn, but no, it's too difficult to tell who'd come away with the cheese.
I mean, I was expecting a yes or a no on, not a yes or a no, a definitive answer there, but we'll take it as we come. We've had a comment that Mr. Gallen is getting in towards the top 10. Well, remembering though that John Gallen still needs to have a pit stop, so he's got drivers behind him in the likes of Coleman, Doval, Stone Street, Maguire, Dawson, Crow and Strange, although Strange is a bit further back, who have all had a stop, and Gallen still needs one, so he will actually drop some spots here throughout this initial pit stop period as David Kirby also now brings it in. As Gardner and Warboys battle it out still at the front of the field. Dooley, Cowan, Randall and Tannock. This battle's been materialising over the last couple of laps, and this could be one that continues to heat up and stew across the race here, Jack Oz, and possibly come together for a beautiful reduction of, well, hopefully not fire and chaos, but just spectacular racing and fireworks in terms of these drivers really getting a bonus out of it.
Oh, we see Shane Randall getting a little happy on the loud pedal there as well, trying to catch up to the back of the boys. But yeah, hopefully it is hopefully it doesn't end with a sour taste, and it is a good battle as we see both the leaders come into the pits.
This is smart from Warboys. Just stay with Gardner, bring it in with him, and hang out together. Do we think maybe? I mean, you can't really tell what your opponent's going to do, but could you see them going for the shorter fill this time to try and get some track position on the competitor, build some gap, and then do the longer stop later on in the race?
Yeah, quite possibly. Track position seems to be king here at the moment, and you would always think that Blake's saved a little bit more fuel because he's been in the draft of Griffin here the whole time. So yeah, you'd think that he might have a shorter stop as he does drop, and he's got the lead of the race, or the
provisional lead.
Yeah, provisional lead of the race.
Well, interestingly enough, this is actually going to work out well here for Warboys, because it's now led to Griffin Gardner coming out in behind Bruce Tannock, who could
Perfect
now...
timing for him.
It is, and well, Warboys has had a 2-second shorter pit stop there than Gardner did, so obviously that'll now work out possibly in his favour later towards the race, but what it means is now Gardner has to try and get past Tannock, which he's looking to do in fast succession, as he wants to try and get back onto the rear end of Blake Warboys here in towards this middle stint of the race. Rusty in the chat doing his best application to try and get into the commentary booth. Hopefully the pit stoppers can crab claw their way back into it and squeeze the last bit of lemon juice out of their race.
I'm loving the references.
It's phenomenal. These are Dr. Zoidberg worthy references in the chat as another waterborne creature, and Harry Dodds brings it into the pits in behind the young guppy Ty Delaney as well. So currently it's a swimming pool of cars in the pit lane right now as Doddsy, the most famous man in the SRW stream chat, brings it into the lane. We'll see which one of them gets the jump as Warboys is now going to retake the lead ahead of those boys, and he'll lead his first lap of this race. As I say that, Gardner's put it up the inside and taken the lead back over Warboys, and all of a sudden, Blake's now going to tuck it in behind. But this may work out in Blake's favour, though, because he's now going to be able to sit in behind Griffin again for a whole stint, save some fuel, and this may actually pay dividends later in the race when he needs to take less fuel than Griffin does.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't expecting him to try and take back the lead so quickly. I thought he might have tried to maybe tuck in behind him a little bit, unless he thought he had the outright pace advantage over him to get away and break the toe and just streamline, so then he has the race all to himself. But crack on, boys. It's looking good, and if he can, if Warboys can stay on the back of him, it'll definitely pay dividends in the pit stops, as you said, Hamish. And yeah.
Well, Gardner's already starting to break away a little bit here, so I think Warboys may be saving at this point in time. Gap's almost out to a second now, so it'll be interesting how this plays out in the dying embers of proceedings here tonight. As we go on board with Blake Warboys, we'll see if he is saving fuel through there. So, yeah, he is trying to full-on save at the moment. I'm not sure if Griffin is, as Randall brings it in behind. But some good fuel-saving strategies here from the boys up the front, and it doesn't sound like Griffin's trying to save up and through turn one. Maybe he's trying to go hell for leather and just let Blake do his own thing and just bridge the gap as best he can at this point in time.
Yeah, if he can break the toe, which I believe he might actually be already at that point where he's gotten out of the range where toe is effective in these cars, then he's basically not going to give Warboys any advantage by saving fuel by drafting. So if he can get far enough ahead and just walk away with it, and then it's looking more and more like he might come away with it.
As we go back now, David Coleman's now gotten past Anthony Visma. They're all over the back of Harry Dodds, with Brad Doble involved as well as Troy Stonestreet. So we've already had a bit of a shake-up of the order here, thanks to the pit stops, although Coleman and Dodds had a very similar pit stop time. Visma went for the longest stop, and then Doble and Stonestreet went for the short 19-second stop as Visma now tries to get a past Coleman. He lets him on through. Here at this point in the race, as Andrew Cowan has had an incident in the background. He's pulled it off the exit of turn 3. He's over the radio as well. Something's happened to Cowie. He's pulled it up.
Is he downshifted too much?
Oh, yeah,
yeah, he's just maybe downshifted a little bit too quickly there and popped the motor, unfortunately.
Well, if we go back on the replay, and here we're going to get a good bird's eye of it. Also, a second safety car in this race. There's the engine pop as he came into turn 3. And all of a sudden, the race landscape has changed. It's come out just after the pit stop period. A couple of drivers are now coming in for a second stop. They will need another one in this race because I don't think they're going to be able to get to the end from this point. But they're now going to be pushing the limits and trying to see if they can maybe save under the safety car and get any advantage later on in this race. But
yeah, this is only going to play. This is only going to play into Warboy's favour here. If he's had the shorter stop, he can save some more fuel. So,
what this also now does is it's now going to bring Jason Strange back onto the lead lap of this race. So all of a sudden, he now has a lifeline. He only has to get waved around 3 cars as he's in behind Jamie Dyke. We know he's got pace. He's going to be on the back of the field. He's going to be able to push his way through. If If any other safety cars come out as well, that's also going to help pay him dividends. But a couple of drivers who've come in, Randall, Dawson, Maguire, have all now had another stop, although they will likely need another one in this race.
We are also seeing a car on the second straight after the first and second corner, moving very slowly or stopped.
That's the safety car.
Ah, never mind then. I'm just looking at my track map and it just says the position number.
So this is...
Don't pay attention to me.
That's all right. This is smart now from War Boys. Come in, get a bit more fuel. Same with Dyke, Visma, Coleman, Doble, Stone Street, Kirby, all coming off this. This is now actually going to play into the hands of those drivers who took that initial stop when the safety car was called, because even though these guys have all now come in, they're now going to have the fuel advantage over Gardner, Dodds, Delaney, Sanfuentes. These guys are not going to have to save fuel. They're going to be able to go a little bit longer, and they're also going to have a super short stop at the end of the race. It's a free stop now, so this is now going to play into their hands, and this could win Blake Warboys the race and could lose it for Griffin Gardner at this point in time. But we're going to have to wait and see, as we are at the halfway point of this race, 40 minutes into proceedings, and we have got a second safety car out on track. Yeah, Cowie in the chat saying boom as his engine broke, and Simon Hayes saying money shift. So, but at this point in time, it is Griffin Gardner who leads the way to Harry Dodds, Ty Delaney, Gerard Sanfuentes, Blake Warboys, John Gallen, Anthony Visma, Bruce Tannock, Jamie Dyke. Troy Dooley is the top 10, and then David Kirby, David Coleman, Brad Doble, Troy Stonestreet, Robert Crow, Troy Maguire, Shane Randall, Alan Dawson, Jason Strange. And Andrew Cowan is in the lane, and this may be race over for him, as he will not get his wave around once he's back out on track and use that fast repair. So this point in the race, Jack Oz, obviously you've not long ago had a pit stop. Do you come in, do you put a bit extra fuel in, save the fuel save, and just push on and crack on and go towards that final stop of the race?
I think it might be a bit too late to stop now, because everyone is so bundled up together. It's probably a bit too late for the likes of Gardner to pit stop to make it effective.
Well, when it was called then, when it was called, would you have gone in if you were in his position?
Personally, probably no, but that's why I'm not a very successful driver at the moment.
But maybe these are the little things that make the difference, you know, taking notes off these faster guys like War Boys. Although it's given us two sides of the coin now. We know both those guys had a similar pace. One of them stayed out, one of them's come in. What are we going to learn from this? Well, we'll have to wait and find out throughout this race, and whose strategy is going to play out better, or whether this is now going to help War Boys run towards a win, or if it's actually cost him the win compared to Gardner, as Randall's had to bring it in for another stop. This is now his third. I have to wonder why he's done this, as Cowie's now also back out on track, and crucially only one lap down. He hasn't come out 2 laps down, which is good for him.
And we've also now seen Dr. Strange come out on the lead lap.
He has indeed.
This is a saving grace for him.
Maybe that there for Randall was come in, take an extra splash just to go a lap later. He's not really losing anything out here. Maybe this is going to be saving grace to get home.
Could very well be, because he was towards the back of the train, was he not? So
yeah, he was towards the back. He's not going to lose much out on this. Going to have a bit of extra fuel in the car. Not going to need to fuel save. He's going to be able to crack on now further into this race.
yeah, just get a little bit of a one-up against the people that you're driving against. It might work out in his favour later on, as you said.
We'll have to wait and see if track position is going to pay dividends, or if fuel strategy is going to pay dividends as well. We're going to wait for our safety car to come in and for the rest of the field to get going once again, as the waiver rounds have now been done. Jason Strange is back on the lead lap and not too far away from the end of the train. I think we'll likely be going green possibly this lap, but I think maybe next lap. But I don't think we'll go any longer than that, I would say. I think it's definitely going to be either this lap or next that we go back to green running.
That it is coming in this lap.
Okay. So this will be the end of the safety car period for this part of the race. Will we get another one in this one? Both of us were wrong, Jackos. We said we'd only get one, but we've had two now. Do you think maybe we'll get a viewing of a third time on track for the safety car?
Oh, well, you can never say never, can you? The safety cars breed safety cars. So we'll just have to wait and see, get the popcorn ready and see if it gets spicy.
Well,
that's where the safety car is into the lane.
And it will be Griffin Gardner who leads them away here on the restart as well. With Harry Dodds in P2, Ty Delaney in P3. Gerard Sanfuentes in the top 4, and then Blake Warboys makes up the 5. But crucially, he's not lost too much track position to Griffin Gardner after putting a bit of extra fuel in the tank to push on now for this middle stint of the race. Gardner looks to hold him up, but goes as of the control line and leads them away onto lap 28 of proceedings, 45.5 minutes in, as Doddsy's now under massive pressure from Delaney as they come through one for the next time by. See Warboys already putting the pressure on Sanfuentes. Wants it done up towards turn 3. Wants it up the inside. I think Gerard will be smart enough here just to let him go on this one. And Warboys gets it done even before the corner comes at him as Visma wants it down the inside of Gallen as well. Well, it looks like, Jack Oz, we've had a nice clean restart here and maybe had to get cracking on for the rest of this race. And hopefully for the driver's sakes we don't get another safety car, but hopefully for us we may get a little bit more chaos going forward.
Oh, well, now that you've gone and said it, mate, you've gone and jinxed it, so surely we will end up with a bit more action out here and quite possibly ending up in another safety car. Hopefully not for all the drivers' sakes, but yeah, hopefully it continues the spiciness that it has had.
Hopefully for Andrew Cowan we get another one, so he gets his lap back. As Dodds has now been passed by Blake Warboys for P2 on the road, and all of a sudden Blake Warboys can push on and get back up onto the back of Griffin Gardner in P1 on the road. Maybe even drag Doddsy with him, although I don't know if he can match his pace at the moment. As they come up towards turn 1, it's been a nice and smooth restart for the majority of the field. We've had two safety cars here tonight. One was caused by...
Oh, big wobble back there.
Oh, there was into the wall. I was about to bring up some replays for us, but he just had it tucked into the wall there at the exit of 1.
Very lucky not to end up in a bigger incident than it was.
This is how it happened here for... No, this was earlier in the lap. This is not the one we're after. This will be the one we're after right here. There it is there. Big wobble. Lucky not to collect the wall. He caught the sausage curb, but he's still rolling, which is good to see. But unfortunately back at P13 at the moment, still needing one more stop in this race.
Yeah, those forbidden glizzies can bite real hard. Unfortunately for John Gallen, but very lucky to keep it off the wall, and he continues to try and catch back up to the back.
There is Griffin Gardner, our race leader, with Blake Warboys trying to chase him down at the moment. As Andrew Cowan is struggling in the background, as well as Jason Strange trying to keep on the back of the field at the moment. But a heap of spread of strategies at play here tonight. We are expecting one more stop in this race. But whether the stops under safety car will pay dividends for the drivers or whether it will hurt them in the end, we are yet to confirm. As let's go back and check out how our safety cars were caused here tonight. We have had two of them. This was the initial contact on lap 1 with Jason Strange. See him on the inside there of the green car. Troy Maguire got spun round, and then there was Travis Daly, nowhere to go, and straight into the front of him off the back of that one. As we then also had this moment here with Andrew Cowan where he ended up going down the gears a little bit too quickly and blew the engine at the exit of turn 3. There it was right there, and ran it out too wide, and that was the cause of our second safety car of the race. As we get in here past the midpoint, 49 minutes just on the half an hour to go marker here, Jack Oz. And even with safety cars, this race has gone by pretty quickly, which makes it a little bit easier for us, but makes it a little bit... I'd wonder how it feels in the car, whether it feels like it's gone this quick for the drivers.
Yeah, it 100% it would. Even we were saying at Phoenix for the GR86s, this is going to be a long race for 40 minutes. And it really didn't feel like that at all. It felt like maybe a 15 to 20 minute race for the second one for all of us, and we were positively surprised. So I feel like that would be what these blokes are out there feeling right now.
Everything is still to play for in this race. Sam Fuentes, Dooley and Crow all into the lane. Possibly going for their final stop in this race, knowing they've got half an hour to go. And they can make half an hour on a full tank, so they'll be trying to get a bit of an undercut done on the rest of the field, as Crowe is missing his pit bay at the moment. That's going to hurt him in the stop comparatively to Sam Fuentes and Dooley ahead of him.
I didn't know you put Michelson in the car.
I would play the soundboard, but I can't, as Dodsey's been spun round down at turn 3.
Gets it going though, which is what we want to see. No, don't need Dodsey going a lap down by having to tow.
This is how it happened. Ty Delaney up the inside. He got it done. Dodsey let him have it, but here comes Visma hard approaching, and unfortunately just tagged the back of the Frog Leaf Juice racing car. I mean, he tried to wait up to redress the position, but unfortunately, I don't think the redress is going to be enough for him here. It may cop him a wording from race control going forward.
Yeah, it is good to see that he did try to redress it at least, but I agree it's probably still going to end up with a slap on the wrist because of how many spots were lost there.
Well, Dyke, Stone Street, Doble all come into the lane now for their last stop of the race. We'll see if Warboys can do enough to keep it going. He's dropping time, but I reckon he's trying to save and make it home on this final tank now as well. So we'll see if this pays off for him, but doesn't want to give up too much track position to Griffin Gardner at this point in time.
No, exactly. You don't want to give up too much time where he can get essentially a free pit stop. But at the same time, you don't want to use up all that advantage of a shorter stop that you would have if you're burning up all the fuel. So you wonder if Griffo is starting to save fuel there a bit as well, and try and lessen the blow of how long the stop will be.
Well, it will all be answered in due time as we come up towards our final stop of the race, and however long Griffin Gardner can go for, and if Blake Warboys will need another stop in this race here tonight. Ty Delaney, P3 on the road at the moment. He's looking good for this P3 as well. 5 seconds is the gap back to Bruce Tannock now in P4 on the road, but he's got a fast approaching and hungry and tenacious David Kirby, fueled by Watermelon Vape and by Fishy Power. He'll be hoping to try and get past Bruce Tannock as fast as possible, and maybe even allow his teammate David Coleman or Troy Maguire past as well.
That would be a no, because he's coming straight into the lane.
He is. So he brings it in for his stop, as Tannock is now released from the pressure, but Coleman stayed out. He'll be trying to chase him down as well, as we get into our next changeover period of pit stops and whose strategies are going to come into best play here tonight, and who's done a masterclass and who's done an absolute dud out on track. As Jason Strange starting to put some pressure on Shane Randall here, back at the back of the top 10.
Oh, a bit of a Blinky Bill moment from Shane Randall there. Just popping in and out on my screen. Not sure if it was the same for you.
It is the same for me. It's still happening to him, unfortunately, as Strange tries to get it done up the inside, and Randall lets him have it in the end.
Giving him a lot of space there. Nice and gentlemanly like. That's what we like to see. Although we do like to see a bit of argy-bargy, but not too much as well.
Well, we'll see if Dodsey wants to argy-bargy his way through, or if he's willing to try and get it done nicely as well. He doesn't want to, cop himself a free kick against here tonight, or a dangerous tackle. He wants to try and get it between the shoulders and the waist and get that free kick given to him for a holding of the ball from Randall.
also just got a update saying that the incident between, Harry Dodds' incident is no further action.
Very interesting as David Coleman and Tanik bring it in, but Tanik's had a wild ride through the entry. Is he just coming a little bit overzealous through the pit entry there as Jason Strange also comes in?
He must have mistaken this for the Aussie Rallycross Championship with that much gas.
He's been heeding our advice and he's been touching grass apparently, but that's now going to hurt him in the stop because it's now allowed David Coleman up on the back of him. And look at the time that he's now gained over Tanik in that stop. That's a big gain there from Coleman. It's also likely going to allow the likes of Doble, and Doble has come past, but possibly he will allow Strange to get up back onto the back of Tanik there. As although you know he's still in the lane actually, so this is quite a long stop for him, but Coleman now in amongst the battle with Doble and Sam Fuentes in behind. As Dodsey has now gotten it done on Shane Randall a little bit further up the road, so he's done well there to get that done through turn 5. And we are starting to get a bit of a feel of what the top 10 could look like in this race, but with a little bit under 25 minutes to go, nearly 24 minutes to go. Griffin Gardner's looking incredibly strong, but the question mark is on Blake Warboys and what this strategy play is going to look like as the young Guppy Ty Delaney brings it into the pits now. You reckon, Jack Oz, that Delaney could hold out and keep this podium at the moment?
I'd definitely be hoping so. I think it would be, it'd be pretty hard with, I believe Troy's done 2 stops already, so if he's able to catch back up to the back of him, then yes, probably he could battle for the podium, but if he's that far ahead, I'm not 100% sure that he can actually do it. Would like to see it though.
What's interesting is Maguire came in on a lap before Blake Warboys, so does that now also have a part to play, how much he has to save, and if he does indeed need another pit stop? I mean, if he needs another one, then all of a sudden Delaney's going to be back, back in the podium position and really able to fight for it. But I mean, Visma also came in on the same lap as Warboys too, so it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, and it may not be set in stone until maybe even the final 10 minutes of this race.
Yeah, it's turning out to be an interesting strategy game, isn't it?
It is incredibly interesting. And it's one thing I love is Warboys has brought it in. So he knows he can't get home. That means that Visma can't get home, and as well as Maguire. So this is now going to be a very interesting play from Warboys. Going for the undercut on Gardner, but he's going to be at a full push because he's going to have plenty of fuel to get home from here. Do you think now maybe the choice for Warboys to come in under that safety car has hurt him a little bit, knowing that he's lost the track position to Gardner, and in fact now he's going to have to deal with traffic and being able to get back past them as well?
Yeah, you would think that that he might have missed the opportunity there, and it is actually playing out quite well for Warboys, as we see that he has a late lunge on Shane there, getting past, but he did it cleanly and trying not to lose at any time in his efforts of trying to close the gap on Griffin.
Yeah, he just wants to try and chase him down. I mean, if there's a safety car, that's obviously going to bring Blake back into this. But if there isn't, it's going to be really hard for him to chase him down and really put that challenge back in on Griffin, especially if he's fuel saving at this point as well. I mean, he's going to take a shorter stop in the end, but I mean, Blake's was only a 10-second stop. This may also play into his hand, knowing that Griffin's going to need that full stop to get home of possibly, 18 to 22 seconds of fuel. And it also depends as well, if Blake took his tyres under that safety car stop and Griffin hasn't taken tyres yet. Well, that'll then also help Blake, because it means he's going to be able to get past him in the end, because it'll be a longer stop for Griffin. So much to weigh up here and so much to try and figure out. It goes over our heads a little bit in terms of the maths and the on-the-spot strategy calls. This is a wild play from Blake, and it's going to be interesting to see this one materialise and play out, and how the puzzle pieces come together, Jack Oz, and who it is actually going to benefit at the end of this race.
Yeah, exactly. It's an interesting strategy, Hamish. Let's see how it pays off. It's
it'll really test Blake from here. I mean, the distance will test him.
But yeah, we also might have missed there that the fan favourite of the chat has gone in for his second stop, and he's now out back on track just ahead of Jason Strange.
Back towards the back of the field, though, as Griffin Gardner brings it in. So Gardner responding to the pit stop from Warboys and comes in for his stop. Where is he going to come out comparatively to the WK&P driver? And how long will the stop be for him? He's going to be right at the end of the lane. Where's Warboys at the moment? He's coming up towards turn 9. Oh, this is going to be incredibly tight, Jack, on who's going to get the benefits here out of this stop.
Exactly, and to quote Rusty in the chat, important not to clam up here or you'll find yourself caught in the net. He comes out with some bangers tonight.
Well, Gardner's coming out.
It's going to be close.
There's Warboys up the back. Gardner's going to continue to have the lead, though, as he comes out of the pits. As Warboys comes through turn 1. He's given up 5 seconds by coming in under safety car, and now it's going to be a straight run home for him to try and chase down Griffin Gardner for the win here on Super Sunday for the Warren & Brown Tools V8 Supercars series of SRW TV. Warboys tries to chase him down. The pressure's on for Blake to try and do it. Griffin just has to try and hold position and hold this gap out as best he can. Ty Delaney's not too far behind in provisional P3, but I don't know if he's going to be able to chase down both Warboys and Gardner. And look at that pack in behind, led by Randall to Kirby, Coleman, Dyke, Stone Street, Doble, Sanfuentes, Tanik at the back of it as well. That is a huge little battle pack starting to form, and well, it could be on for hell for leather here, and these guys might be going, for an absolute barn burner of a battle heading forward with a couple of fishies in there, an Infinity car, a WK&P, and others involved as well.
One thing to remember as well is Griffo might actually catch up to the back of some traffic as well in the meantime if he's unlucky here. So don't count that out as well to alter the ultimate result of the race.
Importantly, Blake Warboys has just set the fastest third sector of the race. So he is on here, and he wants to try and push on as fast as possible up to the back of Gardner. The gap now is 4 seconds, so he is quickly cut. I've just read Rusty's chat. Russell Motorsports are packed in like sardines in that group of cars. Well, they want to try and teach Shane Randall a lesson here, and they want to take him to school, do the fish. But it will take all of his merit to control the fish oil lubricated Simbriggs Infinity Motorsport car.
Oh, as
to
we
hold
see,
them off.
Big spin back there. I didn't quite see who it was.
It was Stone Street. It was Troy Stone Street in the Super Cheap Auto entry by WK&P. What's he done? Has he just caught the curb? Oh, he's caught the forbidden glizz. Oh, and a little tap into the wall. Unfortunate there for Troy. He's been one of the upstarts in the season. He's just trying to get some pace out of this car and get back up the order. Of course, split one of vets now, but that car's not looking incredibly healthy as he tries to nurse it back to the pits.
Yeah, hopefully that hasn't tweaked the steering too much to make it uncomfortable for him, and he's able to soldier on, try and recuperate some positions that he might have lost in that spin.
Yeah. Oh, is he slightly right hand down?
Well, as you hear him clutch in on the way into the corner.
His full fuel save at the moment is Troy Stone Street. I don't know how much that's going to help him, though, as Doble's under assault here from Tanek up at turn 1. He's now gotten past him. As all of a sudden, Doble has Sam Fuentes all over the back of him as well. As Warboys is slowly catching up to the back of Gardner for the provisional lead of this race. Maguire, Visma, Dawson, they've all stayed out. And they're all trying to make it home off that safety car pit stop. We'll see if it pays off for them. But as we mentioned, we reckon the distance will test them from here. But they are up the order. And I mean, Dawson's up 12 spots. He's up the order like a pop-up toaster at the moment. And he'll just be trying to get it home from this point after early contact in this race and just trying to make up something for what he lost early on.
All the AFL Live comments are just killing me, Hamish. Like,
I'm so glad.
Coming out of left field with that one. Or should I say, coming out of the centre-half bench. But yeah, it's good to see the mix of cars at the moment. All seem to be battling pretty well together. You see, obviously, Visma and Maguire with Alan Dawson right behind, and it's looking like a little spicy pack. You would think that they would have to pit once more from here. They've 15 or 16 laps into their stint, I believe, and the tyres would definitely be hurting from here.
It would, and there you can see a lurking Griffin Gardner in the background, and there's Blake Warboys trying to chase him down as well. Ty Delaney just up the back of that battle as well. We'll go back here to this battle between Randall, Sam Winters and Doble. Doble trying to shoot it up the inside. Nearly hurt him there. Oh, that could have been a poor effort, but he's managed to keep it clean, and good wherewithal there from Randall to know he was there and to not just turn straight in on him at the apex of turn 3 as he tries to get up the inside once again. Tries to get it done as clean as possible as well. This battle just continues on. Coleman and Dyke working together with David Kirby. Couple of fishies out on track at the moment. And I mean, you know, if Sinker was here, he'd be mentioning how good it is to see so many fishies on track. But it's good to see so many varieties of cars on track as well, Jack, and the different teams that are involved. I mean, I know there'll be a couple more next week with a few more drivers attempting to get into the series before the 3-round cutoff, and hopefully it means we'll have a good spread of teams and a good spread of cars out there as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's good to see that it's not all just one manufacturer as well, which is you might have been trying to get at as well. Well, as we see, one of the fishy cars, David Kirby, in the wall.
Is indeed off the exit of turn 1. Check out the replay. Oh, and he caught the forbidden glizzy.
Glizzies have been catching a couple of people out tonight. It's definitely not what you want to go, or not where you want to go.
I mean, he'll be feeling like a cork in the ocean at the moment. Being that far off now, the rest of the fish in the school. And he caught it right on wheel spin, which is what hurt him. He got back on power as he hit the curb, and all of a sudden now he's under massive pressure from Troy Stone Street. As they continue on in this battle. But we're going to look forward now to the top 3 battle here, or top 4 battle, as Gardner's now up on these boys as well. Of Visma, Maguire and Dawson. Gardner trying to run it out off the track. Doesn't want to get an illegal overtake though by running it too wide, trying to maximise the run. Oh, if you were in race control's position, how would you feel about that one there, Jack? Because he's extended the circuit, copped the slowdown, and then taken the move. I mean, will we say that's fair play by Griffin there, or what do you reckon?
It's pretty marginal, I think. I believe that Alan would have given him the spot anyway. But yeah, it's pretty on the nose whether you're deemed off track or leaving the leaving the track to gain an advantage, and you might need to see it redressed if it's called in, or but yeah, it's very, very on the nose.
I mean, it's like trying to find a fault with Miss Venezuela. It's almost impossible to do. So, I mean, maybe we're clutching at straws, maybe we're not. Who knows? As Maguire now tries to defend the inside, now he just lets Griffin through. He knows he has the pace, and he's just trying to make it to the end here on this same fuel load he took during that safety car period. Nearly 10 minutes to go in this race. Lap 43, about to head on to lap 44. We're getting closer and closer to no more safety cars in this race with 10 minutes to go in the running. We're now lap 44 in this one.
Yeah, as we were touching on before as well, it is good to see, 21 cars out on track tonight, and hopefully, yeah, there might be a couple more. Hopefully a couple guys from my team might show up. I definitely will if I'm not being called back into commentary team.
Well, Steph in the chat saying, I would call it to be redressed personally, exceeding track limits to get an advantage, as he now tucks up the inside of Anthony Visma to try and take the lead. So, yeah, I'd say, I mean, if he's copped the slowdown off it and he's gained an advantage over competitor, then it's a tough one to call, but leave it up to race control. It's their decision at the end of the day. He has a little bit of a lock-up, though, as Visma's now still battling him here for this position as they come through 6 and 7. As Warboys just trying to chase them down now. We'll see if they make it hard for him or if they keep it nice and easy as he tries to come past. Maguire, though, into the lane, so and this all but confirms that Visma and Dawson will need another stop in this one if Maguire's unable to save the fuel, as Gardner leads them on to lap 45. Less than 10 minutes to go now, and well, it's looking like Griffin Gardner's to win at this point, Jackals. I don't know if Blake Warboys can do anything from here.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if he can pull something out of his hat and find a little bit more pace to catch up to the back of him. Maybe he was hoping that the boys that he just passed might have held him up a bit more, and yeah, it's looking like it's starting to look like it's sealed for Griffin Gardner to come away with the win, but you never say it's never definite until it's actually over. So
that's right. I mean, looking in from practice to qualifying to the shootout, well, it's almost like a pterodactyl that's been to the optometrist. You could see it from a mile away. So, but Warboys has done his best here to challenge him here tonight, and as Gardner is just trying to hold on to the win, but I don't know if Warboys can catch him from here, as we mentioned. I mean, he's 1.3 seconds off the back of Dawson, but then he's 3 seconds still off the back of Gardner, who's pushing on here towards the checkered. It's going to be hard for him to do it, but we'll have to wait and see how it materialises here in the dying embers, and if he can keep that challenge in. But it's not just putting the challenge in, it's also getting past him at the end of the day, and that is going to be the true test as we come on to lap 46. That's right, Steph. It's never over until Barney energetically waves the checkers. Have we ever seen him, Jackos, unenergetically wave the flag?
no, it's always full of energy. I really wish that I had as much energy as Barney does on a Monday morning for when I go into work.
What supplements do you reckon he's rocking to get that much energy?
I don't know.
We reckon maybe a 4-pack of Red Bull just slammed down?
I'm doing it Luke Colbert style and drinking 4 Red Bulls in less than an hour somehow, and not getting sick from it.
Yet he randomly gets sick during the week, does old Chips. But Steph's saying he's on the dubby. I mean, maybe he's on G Fuel. Maybe you know what? Maybe Barney is like the Stig. Obviously, there's a different one at every track. Maybe the Red Bull Ring Barney is fueled by Red Bull, and other tracks are fueled by something else. continue on. Final couple of corners. Just throwing you at the deep end tonight as Alan Dawson brings it into the lane as Warboys has finally gotten past him. 2.7 seconds is now the gap between Blake Warboys and Griffin Gardner at the front of the field. How have you felt tonight, Jackals? How's it been to get thrown in at the deep end here for a nice enduro race of supercars?
Well, considering that I only had, like, what, 20 minutes of notice or something, I feel like I've gone all right, considering, yeah, lack of notice, lack of experience, and, yeah, obviously nerves still getting to me, but it's not too bad.
Full send, full time, mate. That's all it is. It's just like a Twitch stream for Wart Wednesdays. That's exactly what it's like.
It's a little bit different though, because it's representing someone else rather than just my own channel.
That's true. That is true.
Like I want to try and do Sinker proud, and yeah, not make a mess of it. Hopefully, so I haven't sworn yet.
No, you've done well on that
That was
front, to be
the
fair.
famous Thad Castle said, "You're playing a dangerous game, Sinker." And I haven't mentioned his favourite topic either, which I still will not.
You haven't. We've been keeping it good here with 5 minutes to go as Anthony Visma brings it into the lane and releases Blake Warboys onto the back of Griffin Gardner. 2.5 seconds is the gap between the leader and a fast approaching WKMP entry here of Blake Warboys. Could be on for young and old. Steph saying I've been close to saying words that shouldn't be said. Yeah, I mean, I've let it slip a couple of times, but it's only normally happened after 10 p.m. We're not going to get to that point here tonight, but them's the breaks when you are broadcasting slightly earlier for an enduro. Pineapple and pizza, what's your options?
Oh, someone's brought it up.
It was Steph.
Well, Sinker, you can't say that I brought it up. Pineapple and jalapeno on pizza is my go-to. I've currently been going through the menu of my current pizza place and adding jalapenos and pineapple to it to see which is the best combination. And yeah, that's my go-to anyway.
What's been the best one so far?
I think, honestly, it's boring, but I reckon even just a Hawaiian pizza with jalapenos just added to it and extra cheese or something is amazing. It's simple. You get the sweetness of the pineapple, the saltiness from the jalapenos, and you get ham, cheese, and the base.
Well, I've also tried it. It's not a bad combo. I used to be heavily against pineapple on pizza. Now I don't particularly care if it's on there or not. I won't always go out of my way to order it, but if I'm ever going to edit something on a pizza, like if I'm going to do like a full edit, it's going to be a garlic pizza with cheese, obviously, add chicken. It is just like having a chicken Alfredo pizza. It's incredible. It's a great little change up if you don't always want a tomato-based pizza. But with only 2 minutes to go, though, Jackals, Warboys is about 2.3 seconds off the back of Gardner. We're likely going to get 2 more laps in this one and get to 51 here tonight. I don't know if Warboys is going to be able to catch him here in this next 2 laps and really put the challenge in for the win.
No, it's looking more and more like it might be out of the question, but he is slowly gaining, I believe. If I look at the last lap times, he did catch him by a 10th last lap, but it's just not enough at this stage to get right on the back of him and challenge for that win.
Just trying to listen out here to see if I can hear any fuel saving from Griffin up towards the line.
Definitely doesn't sound like
it. No. But as we did say, Warboys is slowly approaching him. Maybe if it was 5 minutes longer, he could get him in the end. But I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. Gardner crosses the line. That lap was a 30.7. Warboys was a 30.4, so he's slowly catching him as we come on to the final lap of this race here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. The 50th lap of this race. So I believe we have actually gone longer than Tuesday night, even with safety cars at this point in time. So I think we've gone longer. I can't remember, to be honest with you, if we have or not. But Gardner to Warboys to Ty Delaney. That's the top three. And then it's Jamie Dyke, David Coleman, Bruce Tannick, Anthony Visma, Troy Maguire, Brad Doble, and Alan Dawson who make up the top 10. Dawson is our P1 for the Pro-Ams. It's then Sam Fuentes and Kirby to Randall, Gallen, Dooley, Dodds, Strain, Stone Street, Crow, and then Cowan. Travis Daly is our only non-finisher at this time as he went out after the first couple laps and some early damage and going a lap down.
Yeah, you can't put your, well, you can't forget about the young caviar there in third place either. The little, the baby fish.
Yeah, the young
or the guppy, as you call him.
Yeah, he's done well tonight.
He definitely has. All of the fishing blokes have definitely done really well.
As Griffin Gardner comes through the final couple of quarters now. It's been a dominant display, and he's done well to hold on to it. The 9.5 Sim Sports driver, the pole starter, comes across the line, and all of a sudden we have a challenger to the ultra-dominant Blake Warboys to winning. As Warboys comes home in P2, Delaney, after an exceptional performance from the young Guppy, flashes the lights for us. Round the final corner, does his best Takumi impression as he drifts it through. Big old wiggle across the line for P3. Jamie Dyke's going to come home P4. No, here comes Coleman. Is he going to come past? No, it's a photo finish for 4th and 5th. 3 fishies in the top 5 with Tannick up 14 spots into P6. Visma home in P7. Maguire home in P8. Ahead of a fast approaching Brad Doble, and Alan Dawson will make up the top 10 and come home P1 for the Pro-Ams with Sam Fuentes all over the back of him in the end. Well, Jack Oz, how did you think your first Supercars affair went in terms of the racing that we got to see out on track here tonight?
I think it was a really good race for a Sunday night. You know, it was action packed, and yeah, good to see the boys getting out there and having some fun. And yeah, how do you reckon I went for my first broadcast back?
I think you did fairly well. I think, you know, a couple of moments here or there that I tried to lead you onto something and nothing was there, but that's all good. It takes a bit of learning to try and either pick up on cues or try and think of something off rip straight away. So I'm obviously completely understanding of that. But no, I think it was good tonight. I think obviously we had some good chats about the drivers on track, the racing action, and then also anything in between as well, including trying to getting as many AFL Live 2005 references we could throughout the broadcast. But I mean, Griffin Gardner, what a spectacular performance from him tonight and 9.5. It was a phenomenal night on track for him. Obviously got pole position in the regular qualifying, then took pole in the shootout, won the race, beating out a fast approaching Blake Warboys. I think in the end, Warboys' chances pretty much dashed him away when he decided to come in under the safety car, and Griffin didn't. He gave up the track position, which then allowed Griffin to kind of pull away from him a little bit, and it hurt him in the end, unfortunately. But, I mean, it was a great race nonetheless, and I think the top 3 did an exceptional job here tonight, especially that young Guppy Ty Delaney up 5 spots into P3 on the road.
Yeah, exactly. That's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. You got to always have a crack at it. Like, Warboys thought it might have paid off. Unfortunately, this time it didn't, but other times it might have. So it's always a flip of the coin whether it does work or not. And yeah, it's always good to see the young blokes challenging for the podium spots as well.
We'll quickly check out some of the main moments that happened in this race here tonight. This was the first little moment that we had out on track. It was between Jason Strange and Travis Daly up through turn 1. This is what caused our very first safety car of the race. You can see there, hooked up by Troy Maguire and then knocking him into the way of Travis Daly. This then happened a couple laps later on lap number 4 between Bruce Tannock, John Gallen and Robert Crow up at turn 3. You can see him there 3 wide with Andrew Cowan on the outside of the road. So them, Crow went round the corner. Gallen was up the inside, bit of a knock. And Tannock just had nowhere to go off the end of that one as well. We then had a moment with Andrew Cowan at the same corner. Find where it is. There it is. As he came up into the corner and just went down the gears a little bit too quickly, and it cost him his engine in the Commodore and cost him being able to finish on the lead lap. That was what brought out our second safety car onto the track, of course driven by Adam Hughes. And then one of the blunders of the race possibly was when this man, if I can find it, came through the lane under safety car, and he came out in an unfavourable position compared to his cohort in Griffin Gardner. So obviously Warboys had come out, and then Gardner had stayed out and stayed P1 on the road, and that's possibly what lost him the battle at the end of the day. But what we'll do now is we will drag in our podium finishers and our winners. I'm not sure why John Gallen's in there. He didn't finish P1 for the Pro-Am. As we will get up our race results now, provisional as they are. With Griffin Gardner coming home P1 for 9.5 Sim Sports ahead of Blake Warboys and Ty Delaney. On the top 3, it's then Jamie Dyke and David Coleman to make up 3 fishy cars in the top 5. Bruce Tannock, Anthony Visma. Then come home in behind them with Troy Maguire, Brad Doble and Alan Dawson making up the top 10. Dawson comes home P1 for the Pro-Ams. Gerard Cifuentes, David Kirby will then come home in behind ahead of John Gallen, as well as Harry Dodds and Troy Dooley, who make up the top 15. Jason Strange, Shane Randall, Troy Stonestreet and Robert Crow will then make up the top 19 cars on track. As then go back to Andrew Cowan as our final finisher, a lap down on the leader, with Travis Daly pulling out of the running only 5 laps in. We'll then bring up our Pro-Am results for tonight's race, as was Alan Dawson to John Gallen, Troy Dooley, Shane Randall, Robert Crow, Andrew Cowan, and then as mentioned, Daly never finished this one, and then over to the pros. As they finished, it was Gardner to Warboys to Delaney, Dyke, Coleman, Tannock, Visma, Maguire, Doble, Sanfuentes, Kirby, Dodds, Strange, and Stonestreet makes up the rest of the provisional finishes there. As we do not have our P1 for the Pro-Am, unfortunately. Miss Dawson is not in there, so what we'll do is we'll drag in young gun Ty Delaney for his chat with us. Well, young Guppy, we finally get to talk to you once again at the end of a race, and tonight it was P3, but I mean, if those aliens went out there, mate, you would have been on the top step.
Yeah, like I said, the aliens went over. Yeah, hopefully I would have been on the top step, but definitely a tough race tonight. Wasn't sure what type of strategy to go off, especially since that safety car came. Those 2 safety cars actually came out. Definitely not sure how I was going to play the stop, and then I played different to all my teammates and the people around me, and I thought might as well just go for it, and yeah, that plan worked.
Well, Ty, I mean, it was a tough race. It was a long race. How are you feeling, obviously, coming into the race after the shootout and around Red Bull? I mean, is it a favourite track of yours, or was it one that you were looking forward to get through as soon as possible?
This track.
Yeah, this track, Red Bull.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, I don't mind the track. Not normally fast around here, but there's a lot of fuel saving to be done around here, which I do like, and I do like a bit of fuel save. So I just tried to keep it straight, and yeah.
Well, mate, obviously new track next week for Portimao. How are you feeling going into the new one? Have you been able to cut any laps around there just yet?
Not in the supercar. I did a couple laps in the GT3 from the SLW IMSA series, but it's definitely a nice track. I really enjoy it.
Oh, mate, hopefully you can pull out another miraculous result like this one here tonight. Let us know who gives you the support out there and who helps get you and Fishy Motorsports out on track.
Yeah, just like to thank West End Motor Group, Parramatta Peugeot Professional, Parramatta City Great Wall Haval, West End Parramatta, Parramatta Isuzu, DC Shades, Relax, Precision Sim Training, Infinity Designs, Adrenaline Images, Battery Warehouse, Ellie Beach, MJS Gaming, and most for Fishing Race Sports. So hopefully get out there.
Oh, well, mate. Best of luck for next week out at Portimao. If we don't get a chance to speak to you, best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks, boys.
Thanks, mate. You too. We'll drag in our P2 in Blakey Warboys in just a moment's time. So get him up on screen here tonight. Mr. Warboys, a chase down in the end, but unfortunately it wasn't as fruitful as you may have hoped. Explain the decision to come in under the safety car when Griffin had stayed out. Were you just hoping to maybe get a bit of a fuel advantage over him, or what was the plan there?
Yeah, just hoping to get a bit of a fuel advantage. Yeah, he obviously took these tyres in the first stop, so I was hoping to sort of get a bit of a fuel advantage and then have the shorter stop and then try and catch him on the new tyre at the end. But with the cooler track, it helped him look after his tyres a bit better, and his set was a bit nicer off the corners than mine. So, but yeah, no, still good fun. Good to have a good battle with him. So yeah, happy.
And how was the traffic tonight for you, mate? We noticed that the top three who were battling prior to them needing their final stop in Visma, Maguire, and I believe it was Dawson, let Griffin by fairly easily. Did they do the same for you as well and just make your chase home nice and easy, or did a couple of them maybe make it a little bit too difficult for you?
No, I also sort of all caught them just as they were pitting, so it was all good. I was hoping they'd hold Griffin up a little bit more for me, but that's racing sometimes. But yeah, nah, good fun still.
Oh, mate, next week, obviously, new track in Portimao. How are you feeling going into that one?
I'll definitely have to be doing some practice, but I don't know how much I'll get going away for go-karting. So, yeah, might be a bit of a learning on the night job for that one.
Oh, mate, hopefully you can figure out the little secrets of that track prior to the race start. But let us know who gives you the support out there and who helps get WKMP Sim Sports out on track.
Yeah, to my personal sponsors, Amp Air and Send It, Don't Bend It. And then to the team sponsors, Wodonga Carts and Parts, the Super Cheap Auto and the Super Group, Barilla Cabinets, LGC Images, and Dave 37 Racing. So thanks to everyone for the support.
Oh, well, mate, best of luck for next week out at Portimao. And if for whatever reason we don't get to chat to you, best of luck for the rest of the season as well.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right, we will drag in just quickly our race winner in Griffin Gardner here for 9.5 Sim Sports. Mr. Gardner, it was a perfect round for you. P1 in qualifying, P1 in the shootout, and then P1 on the road. Were you ever worried about Mr. Warboys chasing you down at the end there after he took that extra pit stop under the safety car?
Yeah, definitely didn't know how the strategy was going to turn out there. Definitely I think I made a mistake, really, not pitting under the safety car, but I thought I had the fresh tyre. He didn't take the tyre in the first stop like I did, so I knew with the cars between us I could get a big enough gap off the restart and then just get away. So I think it turned out okay.
Well, mate, I mean, how did you feel throughout the race tonight? Obviously a long one, but you spent it up the front for the majority of the time. How was the battling with Blake when he was up nice and close with you? Were you kind of just trying to settle in a little bit for the long term and then wait for the assault to come later on? Or I mean, how did that all kind of materialise for you in the car?
Yeah, it's just first lap, just settle into the race and see what the pace is going to be. I think we latched on the back of me and we kind of got the field pretty quickly. So I knew it was just going to be a fuel race pretty much. And he obviously saved a fair bit behind me. He jumped me in that first stop, but he didn't take tyres, so I knew I was going to be able to get past and get a gap. But that safety car definitely threw my strategy in the bin a little bit. I think without that safety car, it probably would have been a fair bit more up the road. But yeah, no, I think it's a good race in the end.
Well, mate, obviously brand new track next week out at Algarve, Portimao. How are you feeling going into that one for what may be the first time in the supercar? You know, is it maybe practice a lot throughout the week, or are you kind of you're hoping to see how it pans out towards that race?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think I'll be making next week, which is a lot of shift work. But Yeah, I think for the guys that are doing it, it'll be very difficult on the tyre. I've done some racing around there already, and the track is extremely technical and a lot of mid to high speed corners, which will rip the tyres off this thing. So I think it'll be a pretty tyre wear dependent race next week.
It'll be very, very interesting to see how that all plays out, mate. But unfortunate if we can't see you next week. Hopefully we can, but if we can't, then best of luck next time you do get out on track with us. But let us know who helps get you and 9-5 Sim Sport out on track, and anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well.
Yeah, big thanks to everyone at 9-5 and obviously Sean for everything they do for me and for everyone in the team. And also a big thanks to our sponsors, Racecraft, Turn-In Apparel, RSW Graphics, Racing Ears, and Prestige Cinematography. And thanks for you guys for the broadcast as well.
Well, mate, thanks for coming over chat to us. We so look forward to seeing what you can bring to us on track next time you are with us here at SRW. And wherever you might be racing next, best of luck. And, well, hopefully we get a chance to talk to you again this season.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, mate. Well, Jack Oz, that will bring an end to our broadcast here tonight and an end to our interview period with our winners and podium finishers. Unfortunately, Alan Dawson not able to come and have a chat to us. But I think Red Bull Ring delivered for us tonight and gave us a good perspective of how this track can bring a bit of chaos, but also some really good strategy play and some good battles as well.
100%. I would like to take this time as well to just thank you for putting up with me for an hour and a bit, 2 hours or whatever it was. And Sinker for trusting me to jump in the booth once again, and all the viewers for viewing and subscribing to the channel, liking the video, and helping us get our outreach out there. And yeah.
Well, mate, I could not have said it any better myself. But ladies and gentlemen, that will bring an end to our broadcast here tonight. We so appreciate your time of bringing us into your home or wherever you may be watching from, and whenever you may be watching from us, whether it's live or whether it's post-broadcast. We do appreciate your time. If you haven't already, please hit the like button, the subscribe, and the bell icon so you are notified anytime we go racing across our 5 nights of racing here for all of Season 2 of 2024, including the Tuesday night Warren & Brown Tools V8 Supercars Series, the Wednesday night Shannon's Insurance Formula 3 Nationals, the Thursday night Shannon's Insurance GR86 Nationals, which is also a Motorsport Australia official series, the Friday night IMSA Shadow Series brought to you by Warren & Brown Tools. They're rounding out our racing week, our V8 Supercars Super Sunday / Monday series during Scops rounds, brought to you by Warren & Brown Tools. I've been Hamish Munro here tonight, joined alongside by Jack Anderson for round 2 of Season 2 of 2024 from the Red Bull Ring. We so appreciate your time. We'll see you next time here on SRW TV for round number 3 out at Portimao this coming Tuesday for the Pro-Ams and Amateurs. But until then, stay safe, drive hard, and as always, bye for now.
Amazing, I was clash heads again. This is like Chaz Moskin, Cam Waters, almost the same situation. Better contact going down the hill. Sam Noble wants to snip on Dave Coleman now. Sam Noble bottle right now because